finishes from Akinjo.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Sanders throws too high and intercepted. And being run back by J.T. Lewis inside the 10 and out of bounds. They're on the marking right near the 10-yard line.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important. So is your budget.
Lennon. That ball was tipped into the air, and the ball-hawking Cowboys have another pick. This is Jordan Lewis. A career-high third interception, and this is what Dallas's defense has done as well as any team in the league.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Championship if you score in all likelihood. And perhaps the CFP. Jackson trying to turn the corner. And he did not get there. Darren McFay raced him to the pylon and made sure he came up inches short.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, it's another week. It's the week of Christmas. Coming up on Saturday, we will have kind of a broken up schedule, by the way, for those of you who either listen and or watch or both on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. We'll have shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then take a little bit of break. We'll start broadcasting from New Orleans and the Sugar Bowl preview and coverage leading up to January 1st game at some point early on to mid next week in New Orleans from the Media Hotel in New Orleans. David Smoak, Paul Catalina to my left, Craig Smoak to my right. Jack is off this week, and Armstrong Sims runs the mothership here on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. We'll have the chat room going here momentarily along with my audio. I thought I'd turned it down, so we'll get to a lot of that and much, much more as well. So a couple of notes in college football. Hope you've had a great weekend. Luke Fickell is the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year. Cincinnati head coach who's taken his team and program to the national championship semifinals. There were numerous coaches up for this award, and about 3 to 5 of them we'd had on this show. And Cincinnati's Luke Fickell wins the Coach of the Year.
Well, I mean, if you've done something that we thought was maybe impossible to do, which was get into the playoff being a group of 5 school, then you're the Coach of the Year. He jumped through every single hoop, and fortunately for him, everything fell, and the Bearcats, everything fell how it had to around him.
Yeah, I mean, very deserving. Obviously, since he's in the playoff, like you said, and quite the accomplishment. A lot of other coaches you could have gone with as well, but hard to argue against Fickell.
All right, I just realized I had this light little jacket on, this light little sweater jacket on.
Mm-hmm. It's got an N on it.
For knowledge. For no wins, does count?
Yes, there is an N in the word knowledge.
Yes, I know there is. That's what the joke always was, even back when they were pretty good.
A little breaking news.
Yeah, we got some. Go ahead.
China Spring head coach Brian Bell has resigned his post and will join the staff at Baylor University.
Wow. There you go.
Per Matt Stepp of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, so you can pretty much take that to the bank. But, yeah, China Spring head coach Brian Bell, for those that don't know, just won a state title here in Texas a couple days ago. What was that, Friday? Mm-hmm. When we were on the air, China Spring won the state championship. His older brother, Sean, played at Baylor, was quarterback, had the miraculous win over A&M years and years ago. And Sean's been on staff now with Matt Rule. He first joined and then kept on with Dave Aranda and is the current quarterback's coach. So his younger brother, Brian, who just won a state title, now joining the party. So, big breaking news there. Brian Bell resigning his post as China Spring head coach and joining the staff at Baylor.
Here's an interesting note. At 2:11 this afternoon, Brian Bell sent an email back to me among about 2 or 3 others in the statewide media. If you guys have any questions on this list of all-state candidates, you should contact Mr. Gregory, who's the athletic director at China Spring. And I just thought that maybe he was going to be out of pocket to take a break because he's earned that. And I There you go. That was at 211. He has now been hired by the staff, of course, at Baylor, who lost Matthew Powledge. Remember, he's on his way to Oregon. And, of course, they had an outside linebacker's position open as well because of Joey McGuire.
Well, I mean, look, Brian's, I don't think he's even 30 yet, or if he is, he's just barely 30, and has won a state title. He wants to be a college coach, and why not take that opportunity when you can get it? And that China Spring team was the best they've ever had, and no offense to the, was it 1987 team? No, 78. No offense to that 78 team, but this team just steamrolled people and beat a bunch of former state champions on their way to a state championship. So Brian is at a point where, he's got some juice, and he should use it. Absolutely proud of him. Happy for him.
That's awesome. I remember Sean Bell, and again, it's family, but I do remember Sean Bell making a couple of comments about Brian, and they both have supported each other. You could see it. It's a very close family. Mark, of course, the godfather of the coaching family. He made, don't forget this name. And now Brian Bell joins the Baylor staff, and then Baylor has not yet officially announced that I see as far as on my email, and so we'll see what else we can get for you. That's good stuff, Craig. Thank you very much. Another former player that I covered, G.J. Kinney at UCF. Is that right, Paul? Mm-hmm. He's taking the job, according to Bruce Feldman, at Incarnate Word. Eric Morris is headed to Washington State. So that's a job that opened up, and G.J. Kinney, whose dad played at Baylor, who also played at Canton and Gilmer, and was a hell of a high school quarterback, played football at Tulsa, was in the NFL, becomes the new head coach at Incarnate Word. Zach Barnett reported that first, according to Bruce Feldman. So good for G.J. Kinney. That's another name and a young buck as well, who gets his opportunity.
Yeah, GJ's been at it for a while now and been on a few different staffs, and seems like he's just following his father's footsteps as far as the coaching lineage. And you take a look at this batch of quarterbacks that were created over the last 15 years or so, 15, 20 years in the state of Texas, and a lot of those guys are becoming head coaches. I mean, you look at or becoming coaches in general. You think of G.J. Kinney, you think of Graham Harrell. McGuire's kid, Garrett, is in coaching now. There's a bunch. So I could probably go on a lot further. But, that's good for GJ and the logical next step. And obviously, Incarnate Word, there's not giant expectations by any means, but there are a few now with Eric Morris having done what he did. So that's a job that I could see being kind of a launching pad for younger coaches, much in the same vein, maybe schools like Texas State or others are. But, yeah, Incarnate Word being there in San Antonio, being a young, newer program, there's a lot you can go down there and do, so congrats to GJ.
One of the other notes, I just got a response from Baylor. I can't coordinate anything for anyone not officially on staff, but none of our staff doing interviews right now. We would obviously prefer that apply to all potential additions as well. So we won't be able to get much, I guess, from Brian, but I have texted him to get a comment if he was available to do so. Matt Stepp, and of course that means that this Texas High School Football State Championship weekend wrapped up, and one of our guests today is as much of a legend as anybody in Todd Dodge. He played football at Texas. He didn't have a great career at North Texas as a head coach, but he then he of course has won 7 state titles as a football coach and 3 straight at the highest division in Class 6A. With Austin Westlake, a Division I winner a couple of years ago, and then the last 2 years they've won Division II in Class 6A after winning against Geyer on Saturday. So that is done. North Shore beat Duncanville for the 3rd time in 4 years for the 6A Division I state title. And, of course, we mentioned all this on Friday as China Spring was wrapping up their victory to win the state title, along with Franklin and also as well in Central Texas, Lorena. We'll hear from Gary Parrish. He covers college basketball at 3:30. Baylor winning Saturday night very late against Oregon. Scott Drew joins us today at 5. They're hosting Alcorn State tonight. And we'll also hear from Lindsay Rovegno. She's with ESPN Plus, executive producer of a series that ESPN announced yesterday about Baylor men's and women's basketball, a series that will go on ESPN Plus as well.
Yeah, we got a question in the podcast about that. I had no idea. I had not seen the announcement at all. I stayed off Twitter pretty much all weekend long and had missed out on that. So, yeah, that's cool. I saw Nikki Collin a few minutes ago tweeting about it, and I'm sure that the exposure will be great. But that's interesting that they're taking a look at both, and it'll be cool to see that, whatever that turns out to be.
Yeah, I don't. They have the Ode to Joy, which we Sikkim 365 has been major a part of it. Idea from Brian Etheridge and Ashley Hodge, and of course Colt Barber and many others. That's going to be released. Some of those previews will start to come out here at the in January. Ode to Joy on the 2021 Baylor Men's Basketball National Championship year. Bo Nix is headed to Oregon. A&M offensive line coach Josh Henson headed to USC. And Jeff Stearns has committed to go to the NFL draft, the Western Kentucky wide receiver.
He's from Texas originally. Was a big-time hookup with Bailey Zappi. Zappi obviously just shattering records left and right this year for Western Kentucky, and Stearns was his number one target. Probably could have gotten a lot more love for things like the Blitnikoff and those types of awards, if not for the fact that they had, another receiver who had, monster numbers as well. So you look at it and you look at Zappi's numbers, and it's a product of the offense as much as anything. I think that probably hurt Stearns in terms of award season, but he had a monster year. Guy who averaged, and I'm being a little silly here, but not really, averaged 10 catches a game, and he was a constant target. So that's not a surprise to see him go ahead and take his stock on onto onto the NFL, especially when Zappi's going to be leaving. So this is about as hot as he would probably get. So that makes sense for Jared Stearns, and good luck to the young man from Texas. But going back, Bo Nix to Oregon, that was completely out of nowhere. I mean, that was just random as all get out when I saw that. Actually, that was one of the things I did see this weekend was that come down. And knew he was in the transfer portal. Didn't really give too much thought to where he might go, quite frankly, because it just happened and, wasn't top of mind or anything. But boom, just like that, Oregon. Well, so, hey, it's a good little get. And, obviously he's not a perfect product by any means, but he can be very exciting. And, he kind of tapered off this year a bit. So not sure all the reasons for why that might have been, banged up or whatever the case may have been. But that's an interesting addition for Oregon. And obviously after the Anthony Brown year, they were very much in the market for a QB. They could not do that all over again. No,
Kenny Dillingham, who's the offensive coordinator, was the offensive coordinator at Auburn his first couple years at Auburn. So there was the connection there that he went to go play for Kenny Dillingham, and now and by extension, of course, Dan Lanning at Oregon. So that's where that all went down there. And I think I think Bo Nix will be fun to watch in the Pac-12.
Well, he'll be the perfect Pac. What is it? Pac at night, whatever they call it.
Pac-12 after dark. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be perfect for that. Freddie Gillespie, former Baylor star, has been picked up again by another NBA. He's been part of the Memphis Hustle. Orlando is signing him to a 10-week contract. He was a part of Toronto last year at a certain point. Baylor remains number one in the country men's basketball. Then Duke, Purdue, Gonzaga, UCLA, Kansas 7, Iowa State. What a year. They're undefeated. They open with Baylor in the Big 12 on January 1st. They're unbeaten and ranked number 9 in the country. Texas comes in at number, I think it's 16 from the Big 12, and then one other school, Texas Tech at 8-2 is number 25. Kentucky hammered North Carolina, and then there's also the issue. Starting to see college basketball games again being wiped out. Memphis and Tennessee, Louisville and Kentucky was supposed to play this Wednesday night. They're not going to be played. Some other games have been canceled as well, as you're seeing a little flare-up as the NFL's trying to grab hold of this thing.
Well, the NFL's dialed it back, what they're doing after this week. They're not going to test asymptomatic players. They're not going to test vaccinated players. So if you're asymptomatic or vaccinated, it seems like your life just got a lot easier in the NFL because they don't want to cancel games. And again, a lot of these guys you've seen already, some of the guys got wiped out of the game that's going to be on Tuesday. We're back on Saturday. We've got word that Saturday they'd already tested out of the protocol. So it almost seemed, and I'm far from understanding the science of any of this, but it seemed a little bit unnecessary that those guys even got put in the protocol if 2 days later they were just going to be out of it.
I think based on what we've seen, the doctors don't have a real grip on the science of all this either, quite frankly. And I know it's an ever-changing thing, but that often leads to the convenience of, being able to do whatever you want whenever you want because it's always changing, you know what I mean? And so I think everybody tries to feel like they have their head wrapped around this, and none of us really do. It's just going to come down to a point where it's just part of life, it's just part of the deal. And either going to, lock it down every single time something flares up or learn to live with it. And I think, the leagues are trying to figure out how to best learn to live with it and not have to go into full shutdown mode, because if we do that every single time, I mean, who's to say we don't do that for every year for the rest of our lives? If we're just going to, every time something pops up, we're like, oh my God, we got to shut it all down. I think we're beyond that point, and we got to figure out better ways to deal with it. So I guess the NFL feels like asymptomatic, continue to play is one of those ways. Who knows in the end? But they're trying to as best manage and deal with it as they can. But it's obviously not going to go away, and it's nothing new either. So just part of the deal at this point.
All right, so that's a little bit of what's happening in college basketball on the women's side. UConn, for the first time since 2005. Is out of the top 10. Baylor now has the longest stretch of 136 top 10 appearances, and they are 10 after losing to Michigan, their second loss of the year in a game that went into overtime. Armstrong, get that graphic of the arena ready for me if you don't mind.
What are your thoughts on the Baylor women? Because I had a question in the mailbag today on the podcast, and I knew this was going to pop up when she sent the tweet last night, but she was complaining about one of the airlines or whatever.
Oh, Nikki? Yeah, I saw that.
And I knew as soon as she tweeted it, I was like, following a loss, somebody's going to take offense to that. Why is she complaining about the airlines? And so I got this message about it's a bad look, complaining openly and publicly about an airlines, and but then eventually led into what I think the main point of the question really was, which is, there's not the same type of energy. There's not the same type of this or the same type of that. And I know a lot of that's comparing it to what it was. But what are your thoughts, y'all guys? I think for one, their depth sucks. They have no depth. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the energy right there, is that you have 7 players playing the entire time. So I think that's as much of the energy as anything. And I also think, not every coach slams their high heels every 5 seconds and screams and yells and does all that. And I'm not saying that as a knock on Kim. I'm just saying, she's built differently. She's not, Dave Aranda's not like every football coach that yells and screams. And I don't think
when they were 2-7, or they struggled last year, there was a lot of, man, he would not inspire me, and yet now everyone thinks he's like the Jedi.
Right.
There's certain different person. Don't be who you're not. Remember Tony Dungy told him that. Speaking of, Nikki Collin has to be Nikki Collin.
Yeah, but his players also came up and said, hey, we need you to yell more. So there was some of that. Now, I don't know if it's Nikki Collin needing to be more out there or anything, but I was just curious y'all's thoughts, because I knew that was probably coming. But
I think they've got to, 1, get some depth, 2, adjust to her style of play, and which is going to be different in her style of coaching, and 3rd, it is our God-given right as Americans to complain about airlines when we're messed with them by them.
Yeah.
So whether you're the head coach of a team or not, it is in the Bill of Rights that you should be able to complain about an airline when they mess with you.
Yeah, I agree. How she was doing it, she was on a recruiting trip, and I saw that pop up. Yeah. I didn't respond to her or anything. And I also saw today several others who were complaining about airline traffic concerns, luggage, flight delays, or whatever else. I didn't think of it as a bad look. I never even thought, and if I did, I would say that. I never thought of it as a bad look. In fact, initially I thought maybe she was flying back to Atlanta for something, but she was on a recruiting trip.
I just knew following a loss that some people would probably take that the wrong way, or take that a certain type of way. And then the question, I think, really, started off that way, but I think it led into what it ultimately wanted to lead into, which was it's not like it was, basically,
Yeah, from Brandon today on the chat room, so sloppy. PJ, give the girls a break. New offense, different coach, but she has it, and the girls can do it. Depth is next year. You're right, you can't fix the depth. One of the things going on with women's basketball, I'll tell you this, I watched part of the game yesterday, and I saw the game going to overtime. Alyssa Smith had a chance to win it at the buzzer in regulation or near the end. They don't have a lot of height. They've always had this height, and so it's a different type of offense. It's a different type of style, but they're getting hammered on the offensive boards by the opponent. And one of the things that's happened, and I've brought this up to Nikki in a couple of media sessions, Queen Egbo's not playing well. Period. She might get 8 to 10, 12 rebounds, but she's just not much of a force. And I thought after last year, remember how she finished the year so strong. So they really don't have, to me, that second stud inside. And Queen Egbo, I thought, would be that. But their guards are going to shoot the 3, you die by the 3. If you make them, it's great. So it's different. And, yeah, every time they lose. The last time they played Michigan, They won in overtime, I think, during the NCAA tournament. And that game, I don't remember, but it could have even been at the Farrell Center against Michigan. So that coach has been up and right. They've been doing, that's their first ever top 10 win, excuse me. All right, here's the video. This is a picture that was put out today, this weekend, by Baylor and the city of Waco. And I think this picture actually, initially the story was in the Waco Trib. This is the new pavilion that we've heard so much about. This is the one we discussed back even earlier in the year. There's a shot from on the Brazos River. There's the entrance to the Foster Pavilion. We've talked about the Foster family that gave a large, massive chunk of money. And then here's inside the arena. Very much every seat looks like it's a really damn good seat. The seating capacity, which at the Farrell Center is just over 10,000, will be cut to about 7,000. There will be other opportunities if you're not in a seat to be able to watch part of the games. But college basketball attendance is dropping. Texas built their new arena and less. Of course, they had the Frank Irwin Center, which was huge. You could also do the concerts and much, much more. It's part of a combo thing with the city of Waco. Now, I'm also being told, because of some of the stuff that flared up back during the spring and Kim Mulkey leaving for LSU and then the ESPN article that came out about she all but pretty much admitted that if her name would have been on the court, she would never leave that university. I'm being told that Baylor told both Kim Mulkey and Scott Drew their names would be on the new court. I don't know where. I don't know if it'd be on one court side or one, I don't know where, but they were going to be. Both of them knew that their names would be on the new court at the pavilion that opens up, they hope, in 3 years from next month.
Well, now one of them won't be.
I wonder how you do that now.
Can't name your court after a coach at another school.
I'm saying that they would have had
their names on there. Now one of them won't be.
Well, there goes one more thing out the window as far as the departure and all of that. I mean, that part of it, as you mentioned, months and months and months ago. But I don't know. It's funny. Like, there's always these things that pop up in regards to that. And one day somebody would just sit down and just tell the truth about why she really left. You know what I mean? Like it was Louisiana. No, it wasn't. What was the naming court? No, it wasn't. It was this. No, it wasn't. Okay, then what was it? Then
I told you why. It? The fact that the other guy can have his name on the court too. That's the reason.
Just that makes no sense. Like every single thing. Nope, wasn't that. Okay, then what said? Who cares now? I mean, it's. I'm sure some do, but it's over and done with, and it's not changing, so that's fine. But as far as that arena or the Foster Pavilion, I guess we're gonna have to start getting used to saying that. Is Foster Pavilion. I mean, comparing that to walking up to the Farrell Center, it's like it's going from like I don't even know what a comparison would be. Like low budget movie to summer blockbuster is basically what that is. The Farrell Center, the Gold Dome's cool and everything, I guess, but you walk up and there's not really a whole lot to really just be all that excited about. Just the entrance alone to that new place, that right there, just walking up to that. And how bright and open that is a night and day difference from what they've got right now. That'll be amazing. And, they obviously went with the location across from campus and extending that Baylor bubble a bit further now into downtown. But that looks nice if that's the way that it comes out in the wash, and it'll be very interesting to see kind of what that does and how that changes the city.
All right, it's 3:23. Gary Paris, CBS Sports, will join us to talk college basketball. A lot of more things going on. Baylor, I mentioned 3 Big 12 teams in the top 10, 5 in the top 20, 25. Again, one of the elite conferences in America, which they have been now for how many years running? And, of course, with the defending national champions. All of that conference about a week and a half, 2 weeks away from starting. Gary Paris, CBS Sports, and more next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got a lot of great deals going on right now at Richard Carr, and now is the time to get your name on the priority list if you're in the mode for a new vehicle, a new car or truck. Get on that priority list, that inbound vehicle list, and you get your new car or truck as soon as they arrive. Right now, even though supply chain issues are happening across the country, Richard Carr is receiving deliveries of new cars and trucks each week. If you're looking for a pickup, check out a Sierra from Richard Carr. It's got it all: power for a work site, luxury interior, and drive for a night on the town. If you're looking for SUVs, well, Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac has more than any other dealer in the area. 11 different SUV models to choose from with dozens of trim options. Richard Carr is a one-stop shop to find the perfect SUV for your needs, whether it's a fun and nimble Buick Encore or the sophistication and luxury of a Cadillac. Richard Carr has the SUV you need in all sizes and price ranges. And if you want to get into something today, you're not looking to buy new, they have a bunch of premium pre-owned cars and trucks as well. All of them go through a 172-point inspection before hitting the lot, and their aggressive lenders are ready to get you in a car today. 100% credit approval is always the goal, so go online or come by for a test drive today. And Richard Carr is your local hometown dealership for those of you here in the greater Waco area, so give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, owned, operated, and run by loyal and proud Baylor Bears, and they look forward to seeing their friends at the dealership or in the stands.
American Bank has been serving Waco since 1952, and we're just getting started. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Over the past few years, we've been busy investing in new technology to give you the best banking experience possible. We've also expanded our downtown branch and built 2 state-of-the-art buildings at our Woodway and Belmead locations. With bright open lobbies plus fast personal interactive teller machines, everyone in Waco is now just minutes away from face-to-face banking. Visit us today and see how we're invested in serving you at American Bank. Member FDIC.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit Marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
The year is wrapping up, sports bettors, but BetUS still has your NBA, NHL, college football bowls, UFC, PGA, and of course NFL betting lines up for their 27th year. Live betting on all of it. Log in to BetUS.com today. Use our promo codes SICK'EM125 for 125% bonus on cash, or SICK'EM200 if you use crypto. So use the 3-decade leader, BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'EM125 and SICK'EM200.
Welcome back to Sick'em 365 Radio. Call us on the BetUS hotline, 254-339-1122.
We are now joined by Gary Parrish, CBS Sports college basketball writer. Joins us on Sick'em 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Gary, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. What are your thoughts about how Baylor has opened up this year and how they have replaced the studs they had that are some playing in the NBA, or at least in the case of Mark Vidal in the NFL?
Nobody is a bigger believer in that program and what Scott Drew has built than I am, or at least I put myself as anybody's equal. But I mean, even I am blown away by what they've done and what they're doing. I mean, the idea that you could lose 4 starters from a national championship team, including 2 NBA guards, and be in a lot of ways just as overwhelming as you were last season, without enrolling, like, you know, the number 1 recruiting class in America with 3 lottery picks or something like that, is fairly unprecedented, if not entirely unprecedented in college basketball. I mean, you are operating largely with a new cast of characters in new roles, and they look like legitimate national title contenders again. You know, as always, we'll see. It's a single elimination tournament at the end of this thing. It can always go a variety of ways. Sometimes one seeds lose in the first round. But if you were putting together a short list of national championship contenders together right now, Baylor would have to be on everybody's list. And, you know, to be clear, I thought coming into this season that Baylor would be good again. I didn't know that Baylor would be this again, but they're clearly special once again.
Gary, what are your thoughts on the freshmen Kendall Brown and Jeremy Sohan, who have both contributed a great deal early in the season?
Well, I mean, if you look up and down that roster, I mean, when you lose the guys they lost, you knew that the newcomers were going to have to play significant roles. And the guys who were returning, whether it's Adam Flagner or Matthew Meyer, they were going to have to take jumps. And basically, across the board, everybody has done that. I mean, you look at some programs and there's a disappointing player here or a disappointing player there, or there's somebody you thought was going to be able to take a big leap this season and it just hasn't happened. And at Baylor, it is operating the way it's supposed to operate with, you know, the newcomers having real impact and the returning players properly elevating themselves into bigger roles. And obviously the big name among the newcomers, at least among the newcoming freshmen, is, as you mentioned, Kendall Brown, who is long been considered, or at least for a while, been considered a great prospect. But I tell you, you never know if great prospects are also going to be great players. Like Amani Bates at Memphis is a great prospect. He's not a great player. In fact, he's not very good at all right now. Great prospects aren't always great players, especially early in their freshman season. And yet Kendall has been terrific. Everybody, you know, sees the highlights, and those are the things that go viral. But in addition to that, he's a high-level basketball player who is capable of being a real contributor, top-shelf player for a national championship contender. And, you know, there's only a handful of freshmen who are capable of doing that right now.
Gary, Iowa State has gotten off to an unbeaten start, had a couple of top 25 wins about a month ago, now find themselves right there in the top 10. What do you make of the Cyclones?
Obviously surprised, but when you take a closer look at it, maybe we shouldn't be as surprised as we are, and I include myself in that, because the thing everybody focused on was Iowa State won 2 games last season and fired their coach, hired a new one, and those types of things typically take a minute to rebuild, if they get rebuilt at all, unless it's a situation like John Calipari taking over Kentucky and immediately enrolling John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and Eric Bledsoe. Outside of that, when you take over such a terrible situation at the power conference level, it's going to take you a few years to get it back, even if, that's if you get it back at all. But there's an obvious thing that changed, and an obvious thing that made what TJ Otzelberger is doing at Iowa State possible, and that's the one-time transfer waiver. If you go look at Iowa State's roster right now, I believe this was true. I know it was true as of a few days ago. Perhaps it changed, but either way, the point is the same. Their top 6 scorers, 5 of them are transfers who are eligible immediately. They got a transfer from Penn State. They got a transfer from UNLV. They got a transfer from Kansas. And then they added a top 50 freshman, and that's their team. And so this isn't, the team that you watch go 2 and whatever they went last season, but only won 2 games, like that, those players and that coaching staff have literally nothing to do with what is happening right now at Iowa State. This is an example of a coach using the transfer portal to remake a roster in his first season, within months of getting the job. And now we are headed for what appears to be an incredible scene on New Year's Day, because barring a surprise, it'll be 12-0 Baylor against 12-0 Ohio State inside a sold-out Hilton Coliseum. And, I know New Year's Day is typically reserved for college football, and I know that those games will be the things that draw the biggest audiences, but we got an incredible college basketball game on tap for the first day of 2022 as well.
As if the Big 12 needed yet somebody else to join the elite, or at least in that conversation, which Iowa State has been in the past, but the last year or two, as you know, last year was just a bad year for them. What are your thoughts about all of a sudden we're seeing Memphis and Tennessee, Louisville and Kentucky, among other games, canceled? Are we about to see a stretch here where we don't know who's going to play?
Yes. I mean, we're getting a new cancellation every hour or so. And most of the situations are just a byproduct of what we're dealing with in our country. This Omicron variant doesn't appear to be as devastating from a sickness perspective as other variants, most notably the Delta variant. But all of the data suggests that it's incredibly contagious. You probably won't get as sick as you might have otherwise gotten, especially if you're vaccinated and boosted, but it won't stop you from testing positive. And so what we're seeing all over the country now, in most cases, is, these players are under very strict instructions right now at most college basketball programs. If your throat hurts, let somebody know. If you're coughing, let somebody know. If you have a fever, let somebody know. Because the last thing we want is you linger around the team and causing an outbreak within the team. And so a player will go and say, hey, I'm not feeling too well. You test him. He's positive. Even though he's vaccinated, he's positive. And in some cases, that can trigger another round of testing and another round of testing. And what we're finding out, whether it's in the NBA or in college basketball, when you test, you are often going to find positive cases. And when you have too many of them, your team can't function. You don't have enough players to play. That's what just happened at Ohio State. My understanding is that is what had happened. That's what happened at Louisville, at UCLA. The Memphis deal is a little different because Penny Hardaway acknowledged yesterday for the first time that more than half of his team is unvaccinated, which is embarrassing for a leader of student athletes to put his team in this position, because what happens for unvaccinated players is that they can't test out of a situation. Like at Ohio State, if you are vaccinated, even if 3 of your teammates test positive, if you're vaccinated and asymptomatic, you're good to go. You can play a game tomorrow. But the way the protocols work, at least in the American Athletic Conference and in most other places, unvaccinated players are immediately wiped out by contact tracing. So at Memphis, what happened? On Saturday morning, they had 2 players test positive. And immediately the medical professionals come in and they say every unvaccinated member of Memphis' team is out for 7 to 10 days. Well, now you don't have any players. Penny Hardaway said they had 4 players eligible to play in Saturday's game against Tennessee, so they obviously couldn't. So to answer your question, the teams that are mostly vaccinated or entirely vaccinated, they are going to have a better shot to get through this than unvaccinated teams. But basically everybody is at risk right now of having to postpone or cancel games because this variant is running wild in our country.
Craig asked you about Iowa State and their, revelation on the scene so far this season. What do you think about the rest of the Big 12? Kansas, Texas, and their staying power. Kansas has had a couple of scares, and, of course, the one crazy loss to Dayton, but they look to be a deep team. Texas has all the transfers, but maybe hasn't come together yet.
Yeah, like Kansas, I'm not worried about. In fact, I'm encouraged by what I've seen. Ochai Agbaji looks like he's taking a real jump. You mentioned loss to Dayton, that comes on a buzzer beater, high bounce off the rim, shot that fell through. If that ball falls another direction, Kansas is maybe ranked number 1 in the country right now and undefeated. So regardless of what number you see beside KU's name, that's a legitimate Final Four / national title contender. I'm a little less certain of what Texas is. Chris Beard is an obviously great coach, and he enrolled a lot of, statistically good players, via the transfer portal. But, one thing multiple coaches pointed out to me in the offseason as the conversation turned to Texas was, yeah, this player is good. Like Marcus Carr is really talented, but he's never won. And, this other player they enrolled is really talented, but he never won anything at his old school. So, you're bringing a bunch of people who have, averaged double digits in points, but for losing teams basically everywhere, what does that really amount to? And through the first 5-6 weeks of the season, it looks like the people who were skeptical that Texas was going to be a real challenger to Baylor and Kansas at the top of the Big 12 were probably closer to right than wrong. Still early. I'm happy to give it time to see where it goes from here, but Texas doesn't look great so far this season. I think Texas Tech is good. I think West Virginia is good. I think Iowa State is legitimately good, and so the Big 12 often rates as the best conference in the country, and I think at this moment you could reasonably call it exactly that.
Gary, thanks for your time. We appreciate it very much. Gary Parrish, CBS Sports, college basketball writer with us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. I got one note, by the way, on Baylor basketball. I saw this today from Jared Burson. They are the first defending national champion to win each of their first 10 games of the season by 8 or more since UNLV in 90 and 91. Baylor has played 40 games since the start of last year and won 35 of them by 8 points or more.
Yeah, David Kay, who is the main SID over at Baylor basketball, 14-2 now all-time as the number 1 ranked team in the country. 36 straight weeks in the top 10, 34 straight non-con wins, 19 straight home wins, 18 straight non-con away wins, and 9 straight neutral site wins. So they're on an absolute tear right now. There's no doubt about it. It's a pretty special run, and everything's coming up, Baylor men's basketball. So enjoy it while you can, because it's got staying power, obviously. But man, it's hard to get this good. I mean, it really is. And
I believe of that
enjoy it.
Of that 14-2, one of those is the first one. Was the first game they were number 1. Yeah. They were number 1, and then they went up to, I think they went to Manhattan and lost right away.
West Virginia.
West Virginia. So that was the first time they'd ever been number 1, and they lost right away. And then after that one time, they're 13-1 or 14-1 since then. So they know how to stick there.
Yeah. One other note, Brian Bell. I'm not seeing any confirmation or anything, or any obviously Baylor's not putting anything out, but based on just reading the tea leaves and what a couple people have said, it looks like it'd be an analyst, which would make sense. Starting off as an analyst. He's not going to come in and be just safeties coach straight from the high school ranks. That'd be kind of crazy. But, start off as an analyst, and obviously a young guy. And so, interesting if you missed that earlier. Brian Bell leaving China Spring after winning a state title to join the Baylor football staff. And his brother Sean already been on staff now for going on 4 years. So very interesting.
Well, I think the text that I got from David Kay was the confirmation of it. They can't confirm it, but they would rather he not make comments because no one on staff right now is talking as they prepare for the bowl game and the break, and then the bowl game practices in New Orleans. And then I did get something from somebody within or has been a part of China Spring ISD before. So that's a good deal with Brian Bell and Baylor, an analyst job. It's a great way to get your foot in the door. I do know that last week there were one, maybe two others who were off-the-field coaches who were no longer on staff. And so there was an opening. And now one of them is filled by Brian Bell. When we come back, God, I just went blank.
Margin Hooks.
I'm sorry. Margin Hooks. I was thinking about the guest we have at 4:45. Margin Hooks. We've had him on before. Former Brigham Young receiver of the week at the BYU game. Former Waco High star. He trains wide receivers. Evan Stewart, who signed with A&M, among others. He is a true serum guy. One of his clients is Armani Winfield, the young man who committed to Baylor and signed with them on Wednesday of last week. Margin Hooks and the story about Armani Winfield. Next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and perhaps if you've gotten older, as you've gotten older you used to be. What happens when you get older? Well, a lot of things change. But one of them that can change in men is your testosterone levels can drop just because of father time. 1 out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone. One of them could be sleep habits. One of them, without question, is your energy. And number 3 could be your sex drive. There are problems in the bedroom. And if that is the case, if any of those symptoms are a part of what you deal with now and you've noticed it, Dr. Kent Petty can help you out. Go to their website, pettycliniclowt.com. Tell them I sent you. Top left-hand corner, there's an email and a phone number. Email them, call them. They'll set you up to get your blood work. Dr. Petty will then look at your lab results. And if your testosterone levels are too low, he can put you in a program and give you that option to get your testosterone level back up to where it needs to be so you can be where you want to be. It's pettycliniclowt.com.
The all-new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L is in stock. The beautiful, luxurious, elegant third-row seating carries the prestigious Jeep heritage. First responders get an extra $500. The 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo or Limited has total values of $2,400 or 0% for 72 months. It's the Big Finish sales event now at Allen Samuels, 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
it's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links, and you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
One of the, it was the last player to sign last week on Wednesday for Baylor for their class of 2021. Wide receiver Armani Winfield was down to Texas, and Baylor had other options from elsewhere as well, an elite receiver. And while we're waiting for Margin Hooks, who coached him a little bit, he's a kind of a tutor of him and a guy that trains wide receivers. Heck, he's done work with many others. He and I were talking earlier today. Is that the highest rated wide receiver since Katie Cannon?
I think so. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I think so.
Katie was a 4-star kid out of Mount Pleasant, spectacular ability. His best game was perhaps his last game. He had some others, but his game against Boise State was unbelievable, and then he just never could hit in the NFL like a few of the other wide receivers at Baylor. But he was talking about perhaps the highest-rated player that he's All-American, and so we're going to get a Margin on, if we could, to talk just a little bit about Armani Winfield's journey to where he is today and what he has seen along the way. And if he's not available here pretty soon, we'll have to move on, because we will have Todd Dodge, the 7-time state championship football coach at the last 3 years at Westlake, including on Saturday night their win against Geyer, will join us at just after 4 o'clock on his retirement.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the star ratings all time and all that. I mean, he's very high up there, though, and obviously it was a big get for them to beat out, not only Texas head up, but to beat out Michigan State as well. Michigan State's dipped down into Texas a little bit here lately. Especially a wide receiver. So, they were in the mix, and those are two really good programs. So, for Baylor to beat them out and land him is a big deal. I think he probably saw the writing on the wall in terms of the wide receiver room. Who's their wide receivers next year?
Well, we're not sure. What is the status of Jalen Ellis and among others? I don't know that.
Haven't produced. Haven't been healthy. That's basically been the case for,
Gleason,
if you look at Gleason, Holmes,
yeah.
Fleeks, all those.
Seth Jones.
Everybody. Yeah. Everybody not named Tyquan Thornton or R.J. Sneed or Drew Estrada. I mean, there's no proven receivers on this football team, and some of them have been around 3 years at this point. So, there is a case to be made that you can come in and play early at Baylor at wide receiver, because nobody's shown anything outside of the top 3 guys. And the top 3 guys, Drew Estrada's certainly gone. Tyquan Thornton would be an idiot to come back after the year that he just had, and he just graduated too. And then there's R.J. Sneed, and R.J. Sneed in theory could come back, because I don't think he had a really great year, honestly. I think he had an okay year. I don't think he had a great year by any means, though, and certainly was at best their number 3 wide receiver, maybe number 2. But I felt like even Estrada made some bigger catches when they were needed at times down the stretch. So, and then R.J., really – the last couple games, I don't even really recall him much at all. So, he could make a decision to come back, I suppose, but he's been around a while now at this point. So behind him, you really don't have anything that's proven at least. And so, an Armani Winfield or a Jordan Neighbors could come in and, in theory, compete right away to get some playing time.
Well, and the other thing, and we discussed this a little bit. I don't know if we actually said it on the air. Golly, what was the name of a player that you mentioned? R.J. Sneed. Fleeks.
That's what I mentioned, yeah.
Josh Fleeks. And I would not be surprised because of the connection to Cedar Hill if there's something that maybe at some point he might look at Texas Tech as well. Not sure. He just hasn't really been able to produce very much.
Well, I thought he was hurt or something this year because I was looking at stats and noticed that despite the fact that he was – and I asked the question to a couple people. I said, hey – have you heard anything with Josh Fleeks? And they're like, no, why? And I was like, I don't see him. Like, he doesn't catch anything. He's not out there.
Couple of jet sweeps.
Yeah, that go for nothing, basically, was kind of the story of his play. Those jet sweeps that just didn't really go anywhere. But no, I asked that question, and then a couple of days later they played Oklahoma State, and he was out there. Or maybe it was the last regular season game, but regardless, he was out there. So it wasn't as though he had already entered the portal or wasn't playing or anything like that. But having said all that, if he were to make that announcement, I wouldn't be surprised by it because there's 30 Cedar Hill guys that have transferred to Tech at this point or committed. Obviously I'm joking a little bit, but there's been a ton of them. That would make sense. But then again, he's been around here for a while, and it's finally, as open as it's going to get. So, we'll see with him. But, they don't have a lot proven.
R.J. Sneed still has to make up his mind, and will one way or the other if he comes back. But the other receivers that are coming back, Fleek, 7 catches. Jalen Ellis, Monterey Baldwin, who could end up being really good for them because we saw him a lot. And then Hal Presley as well, who was the Auburn player. Each of them had 1 catch each, and then some who just did not play. We got a break. Go ahead.
Baldwin and Presley would be the two that I'd have my eyes most on. Jalen Ellis should be up there as well, but he's got to eventually show something,
Battled injuries.
Yeah, he's battled injuries, and that's fair. But we can get into that with everybody. So whatever the situation is, he's at a point now where he really needs to kind of jump up a bit.
And they do like the Gibson kid from George Ranch as well. Big
true freshman.
Yeah. A couple of those that just didn't get a chance to play. Cameron Bonner, among some others. When we come back, he just won his 7th state title. He played at the University of Texas. He played for a state championship in high school at Port Arthur Jefferson. And now he's going to retire. He had told me that earlier in the year. Everyone pretty much knew this was it for him. And what an emotional year on and off the field for Westlake High School as they wrapped up their 3rd straight state title. And we talked to one of the gurus of offense and a winner from start to finish in his career, but some bumps along the way. In Todd Dodge, next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Not sure if you've ordered whatever you're going to have for dinner when it comes to Christmas, but remember that beef tenderloin is still available, and they have it at Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. They also have whatever you would normally get at any kind of butcher shop that you've gone to before, because they have a full-fledged, always ready to make sure they customize what you need with beef, pork, poultry, and also seafood. So get what you want for Christmas, get what you want for dinner, get what you want for even gifts for clients and even or friends. And on top of that, a full-fledged bakery. Fresh baked bread and kolaches every single morning. And if there's any kind of knickknacks you need, from pasta to sauce and seasonings to whatever it is, even like, for example, crackers or Rotel tomatoes, cans of beans as well, you get that. Waco Custom Marketplace has that kind of a hometown grocery store effect and flavor as well at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
When it comes to me and my money, I know the way it should be. I need a partner I can count on. That's Genco and me.
Genco has extended their offer till the end of the year. Refinance your vehicle today at Genco with rates as low as 1.69% for 48 months. And have 90 days of no payments. Refinancing can lower your payment, so you pay less for your car. Apply online and get an additional 0.1% off our already low rate. You can't pass on rates this low and make no payments for 90 days. For more information, go to GencoFCU.org.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice, subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
They're people I trust.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Hey there, it's Jay from Pickup Outfitters with a holiday public service announcement for all the wives and significant others out there looking for Christmas gift ideas for their man. They say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. At Pickup Outfitters, we say the way to a man's heart is through his truck. And there's no better Christmas gift for the man in your life than something for his truck. Would your man rather have a new bathrobe or bumper or a cool light bar, socks or a lift kit, a new wallet or new running boards? The answer seems pretty clear, doesn't it? Pickup Outfitters is your Christmas gift headquarters. Why get your man a hoodie when you can get him a slick new retractable bed cover? So don't waste money on a meat thermometer or sweatpants when you can get him a gift certificate for anything he wants for his truck. That's the way to get to a man's heart. Stop by Pickup Outfitters at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco or check us out on the web at createacommotion.com.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At long last, it's time for some college football. Bird Collision Ford proudly supports the Baylor Bears as they take the field this season. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Collision Ford. We have some great vehicles available this season as well, so come check out our winning lineup of new Fords. Let's cheer the Bears on to victory and celebrate by buying a new or pre-owned car, truck, or SUV. Visit us anytime at bkford.com. Buying made simple at BK Ford. Sic 'em Bears.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
I knew these kids had it in them. I knew we were not going to leave this 3-year window and be remembered as a team that just folded after one bit of adversity. Our kids came out. They believed. They fought their tails off the second half against a great Guyer team.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
When we began the Texas High School Football Statewide podcast earlier this year, my first guest was Todd Dodge. That's a no-brainer. They had won back-to-back titles at Westlake. He had won 6 in his career, also at South Lake Carroll. His story of what he's meant to high school football and college football and football in general. And he wrapped up another one Saturday with a tough come-from-behind win against Guyer. Todd Dodge joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul Catalina, Craig, and David Smoak. Can you retire? Can you really like truly get away from football?
I don't know yet, Smoke. I left the Dallas area this morning. Liz and I stayed over an extra day. Actually, I am talking to y'all from the great city of Waco, Texas, right now. We're on I-35 headed down the freeway. I don't know yet. I'm going to go support the Westlake Chaparrals and Tony Salazar. I'm going to go support the South Lake Carroll Dragons and my son Riley. I'm going to do some my quarterback training stuff and my camps, and see if that will scratch the itch for a year. So.
This was obviously a special season, as you knew going in. You had this plan. This wasn't something you kind of concocted in the middle. Did it make it different knowing that there was some finality to this? Like every game you coached, there was the potential that this could be the last one.
Absolutely. I told my team probably 2 weeks before training camp started that I would be retiring afterwards, and I just vowed to them that I would not wish any of it away. That we would all soak it in together. I couldn't have had a better last year with any other group of kids. They absolutely just soaked in everything. They love the game of football. This coaching staff is so much fun. They're young and they're hungry, and it was time for me though. Elizabeth and I, we said we'd be there 6 years, and it lasted 8. And I never in my wildest dreams would think that it would end up the same way it did at South Lake Carroll with a 3-peat.
Coach, let's talk about that 3-peat, 40-21 over Geyer. I mean, you beat some really good teams to get to this point, but just on Saturday night to have it come to a close the way that it did, no, it was tough. Geyer hung around there for a little while before you guys broke it open, but just your thoughts on how it did unfold for you on Saturday.
Well, as I told our players going into the week, this is a very, very talented football team that we're going to play, and you wouldn't expect anything different. In the state championship game, they were 14-1 coming in. I told our team, I said, I want to tell you what they're hearing. They're hearing that from all across the state, they're hearing that they don't stand a chance, that they're going to get wiped out, blah, 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 all that. And I said, don't let that fool us. These guys will come out and play, and they came out and played, and we didn't play real well early. But when it was all said and done, I was really kind of glad that we faced some adversity, and we really had not that we wished it on ourselves as the season went over. We were winning by big margins. We were having big halftime leads. We'd never trailed in a game until the first quarter of this state championship game. And so at halftime really challenged our players and said, y'all can be remembered as a team in Westlake Hills and in the state of Texas that is one of the greatest of all times. Or y'all can be remembered as a team that just kind of choked their chili in the face of adversity. I said, y'all got you got to kind of decide what y'all want to do, and they absolutely answered the bell.
In your post game interview, you mentioned how you want to spend as much time as you can with your, I think you said 83-year-old mother, and I know that almost every time I ever talk to you, you're always driving across country or across the state of Texas to go see her, to move her. Give me an idea about your mother and how she has been the ultimate when it comes to being a coach's wife and a son's grandmother as well.
My mother, Jean Dodge, has been my biggest supporter from the time I was a little boy. My daddy was a Methodist preacher, and so she and all of us traveled around and got transferred about every 4 years. But now as it's coming to a close, there's that cycle of life, the season of life, and and she is, there's dementia starting to set in, and she still knows who I am, and I want to be able to spend as much time with her. And then I have my wife, Elizabeth, who, she was in the industry before I was. She grew up a coach's kid. So I've had a wonderful mother, and then I've had a wonderful wife for the last 36 years. So it's been one hell of a deal.
Todd, was this year as emotional as you've ever had when it comes to both on the field, because you knew this was it, and because of the standard, the expectations, but also because of the unfortunate stories, of course, of Jackson Coker and Jake Ellinger along the way?
Yes, it has been, and probably because of Jake and Jackson, I just those two young men personally, I was very close to. They were tremendous leaders in our program, but the Ellinger family is very special to me. The Coker family is very special to me, and so I had a one-on-one special relationship with each one of those young men, and to have to, during the spring of 2021, to have to, speak at the funeral of Jackson Coker in March, and then Jake Ellinger in late April was something that it took a big toll on me, and it took a big toll on our program. There was a tremendous amount of sadness in our program, and I just wanted to make sure that we're going to do an award called the Jake and Jackson 3616 Fighting Heart Award. And we're going to do that at our banquet come January. And I just want to make sure that while it was on my watch, and I know Tony will continue this, but is that no one ever forgets who those two young men were. They were so special to our program, such impactful football players, but even more impactful human beings.
Todd, how much will you be able to enjoy watching Riley coach? I mean, the last time you really get to go see him, you had to play against him, so you don't really want to. You don't do that anymore, but you'll get to actually see and watch him grow in the coaching ranks.
Oh, I just can't wait. I mean, Smoak, I don't know that I've got could have a better deal. I've got my biological son that's coaching at South Lake Carroll, where I was, won our last 3 state championships and had a great time there. And then I've got Tony Salazar, who is like a son to me. He's going to be coaching at Westlake. So I've got the best of both worlds. I can go support both of those men and their programs and watch them grow as coaches, and be around my grandkids. And so, and two programs that I absolutely love and have a lot invested in.
Todd, Brian Bell today, who led China Spring to a state championship in 4A Division II. His brother, Sean, now at Baylor, and, of course, Mark, a longtime, very successful coach for many years at China Spring. He took a job at Baylor as an analyst. He's a young coach. He just won a state title in his 4th year as a head coach. He had been on his father's staff for just a little bit, of course, played at Sam Houston State. For a young coach like that, when they get that opportunity as an analyst in this day and age, you went to college and tried it at North Texas. You'd been in college even before then. What about that opportunity for such a young coach at this moment when he's just won it all?
I tell you what, I just, for Brian, first of all, congratulations. I know everybody here in the Waco area is excited for China Spring. I recruited Brian back when I was the head coach at the University of North Texas. And he was a fabulous player. And it doesn't surprise me that he's had the success that he's had. And what an awesome thing for him to win one so early. But I can tell you, I was a part of one the first year that I was in coaching when I was 23 years old at Rockwall, Texas. I was a quarterback coach, and we got to the state championship, got beat in the finals, and it took me about 15 years to get back to one. And I tell you what, you can't ever take them for granted because they are hard to come by. And so to Brian, what you've done, don't ever take it for granted, because what you've done is really, really hard to do.
You've had an amazing impact on the game that you love so much in many ways, as a head coach, as a player when you were at Port Arthur Jefferson and played for a state championship, and then, of course, what you've done ever since. How much has this game meant to you?
I absolutely, it means everything in my life. I love being a Texan. I love being a Texas high school football coach. I love Texas high school football. I mean, I tell our players all the time to thank the good Lord every day that their parents landed them in the great state of Texas, so they get to take part in something that it doesn't make us any better than anybody else or any more special than anybody else. But what we choose to do as men and as players, it's the most important thing going in our state. Texas high school football is more attended than professional football or college football in our state, and it's just one of those deals. Just take, this past weekend, watching all of those state championship games with all that attendance. And so for that, it's been almost 50 years now since I first, when I was 6 years old, I was the ball boy for the Garrison Bulldogs.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, there's not 1 year gone by that I haven't been somehow involved in the game of football.
Mouse Davis, Hal Mummy, Todd Dodge, your name in that conversation as well?
I don't think so. I don't know. So those guys are something special. I'll leave that up to someone else, but it sure is nice to even be mentioned with those guys.
But you obviously were touched by them, correct?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The run and shoot in 1989 when we put the spread offense in at McKinney. That's what it was. It was a combination between, the run and shoot and the University of Miami's, zone running scheme and 3 and 5 step drop back. It's a little hybrid between the three, and it's kind of all morphed as the years have gone on. So, but my absolute passion in this is coaching quarterbacks, and helping them be the best. The best players and the best leaders that they can be. And
you've done that. You've done that camp. You've been able to do that throughout. That still seems like you mentioned earlier, you're going to continue to be able to be a part of that, correct?
Yes, I'll still continue to do my camps in Austin and down in Corpus Christi. We're going to do one in San Angelo this summer. So there's going to be 3 going on, and then I'll continue to train quarterbacks, in the off season, stuff like that, So that'll kind of maybe scratch the itch a little bit from what I'm about to leave.
All right, so you get a chance to do all the things you want to do. When do you feel like that you might be tested emotionally first? Spring drills, August workouts, or the first Friday night next August?
No doubt it's going to be this coming February. And it won't be long from now. It'll be literally a little over a month from now, because that's historically, for a long, long time, that's when I started our quarterback training program. It's the month of February, and I always take all of our quarterbacks in the month of February. So I know that that will seem different to me. That's when I know that I'm not in it any longer. And so I was just talking to Riley earlier today, and I told him, I said, that's because he asked me exactly the same thing that you just asked me. And I said that's when I'm going to really it's going to really hit me.
One more thing, Todd. When you played for a state championship at Port Arthur Jefferson and played Permian back in your career there, did you and obviously Permian won that game? How much of a thirst was it to always get back to that moment, no matter, obviously no longer as a player but as a coach?
A huge thirst. I mean, it was from a competitive standpoint. The high school football team that I played on was about 1 quarter of football, literally. 12 minutes of football away from being considered one of the greatest high school football teams of all time, and may still be mentioned in those conversations. But we were just another team that got beat in the state finals. We were 14-1 back when we played 15 ball games. We were a fabulous team, had great players, but and so I always tried to vow that if I ever got a team back there again, that I would try to do everything we could to keep that from happening. And I've been so blessed to make it back to 9 state championships as a head coach and win 7 of them.
So was that your senior year at Jefferson?
Yes, sir.
So
yes,
your last game as a player, you played for a state championship. Your last game as a head coach, you won one. It kind of goes full circle,
yes,
huh? Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, you said you were in Waco. That could take you about an hour and a half to get through it with all that traffic. I hope it's a smoother drive than sometimes normal with all the construction going on, buddy.
Yeah, we're on the south side now. We're about to stop at Cavender's.
Okay.
Stop at Cavender's, buy some cowboy boots.
Well, you've earned those. But you've earned them. Hey, I know it's been a day when you've tried to just relax, so thank you for giving us 20 minutes of your time. Good luck, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, Todd.
Thank y'all so much for having me on. Merry Christmas.
You too. That's Todd Dodge. 7 times he played at Jefferson. Craig Mike Owens was on that staff at Port Arthur Jefferson, who went on to coach your alma mater and won a state championship at now Legacy, was Lee High School in Tyler. 7 times. Twice he's done 3-peats at the highest level, at Westlake, and then, of course, earlier won 4 times at Carroll and won 3 in a row at Carroll. He had the struggles at North Texas. He and I have discussed that before, and all that did was feed him even more, his desire to get back into coaching and win again. When we come back, we continue this 4 o'clock hour, 4:20. On a day, Brian Bell has now become a part of the staff at Baylor, the former China Spring quarterback and also head coach. And what about some of the things Todd said about him as a player? Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. The holidays are here, and eventually maybe you come in town to go and watch Baylor's men's basketball team, or perhaps the women's games, or both. And you need a place to stay. You need a hotel, and all the hotels you've contacted, perhaps the rates are either too high or there just is no room. And, of course, on top of that, the travel right now with everyone coming in to shop and look at Magnolia and the Silos and Balcones and many other great places. So many options now of fantastic around the city of Waco. There are 7 hotels in the city of Woodway. Go to discoverwoodway.com to look them up, to get the contact information if you're looking for a place, along with a nice area around the various parts of Woodway, hiking trails, running trails, picnic areas, and just a chance to relax, including disc golf. It's discoverwoodway.com.
Payments for qualified buyers at 2.9% with $5,000 down cash or trade. TTL Extra. See dealer for details.
Get the quality pre-owned car you need now at a price you can afford at Richard Car. Find great deals like a 7-passenger 2016 GMC Acadia for $225 a month, a 2019 Ford F-150 for $438 a month. Plus, get top dollar for your trade now. Richard Car. Pre-owned vehicles go through a 172-point inspection, and our aggressive lenders say yes when others say no. Find your next car or truck at Richard Car today.
At Richard Car, we give you more.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Masters of Barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers, and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads. Crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer or order Zach Pack, Spicy Bloody Mary, or Coach's Margaritas and Mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoak on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco, and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show. Necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
One note, this C.J. Moore, the Athletic, will join us tomorrow on men's basketball. Earlier today, Gary Parrish. Scott Drew joins us today at 5. Baylor plays Alcorn State tonight. Tip it off at 6 after going on the road very late in the night, Saturday night, and kind of getting that 10-point deficit to Oregon down to 4 at the half, and then here they go. That, as I've described it, that defensive boa constrictor that just starts to suck the brains out of people, and their depth takes over. That doesn't mean they're flawless. They have issues. And they have a hell of a game coming up on January 1st, but tonight, Alcorn State. I know they have an Alabama game late January, and the Big 12 is going to be a battering ram, as it always is. From Addicted to Capping. Hello, guys. Great show, as always. My question is, with the class as it stands now with Baylor, what do you think about the 2022 class that would help them going forward as far as what Baylor needs? I haven't really looked at that. Have you, Craig? Have you even studied what they have? The quarterback commitment, the kid from Dripping Springs, Novosok, he's going to he's coming in.
That's the 23 class.
Oh, that's right.
Which one are we talking about?
2022 would be the current class. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the current class. So
maybe transfer portal the rest of the way.
Pretty much. Kamari Terrell, the player out of Killeen. Defensive lineman is somebody that they're looking at and waiting on. He's taking his time with the process. Got the recruiting attention a little bit later. So he's kind of enjoying that now. He's going to go on some visits. I think LSU's one of them. So, I don't know where that's all going to end up. But Kamari Terrell, they seem to be in a good spot with. But outside of that, it's pretty much going to be transfer portal, which I think they'll learn more about here in the next couple of weeks. You don't want to, get too rash right now because a bunch of guys that are playing right now, there's bowl games going on. There's all that this month. There's going to be a lot of guys entering the transfer portal after this month, after the bowl games wrap up. So why go, fill up right now when there could be much better players available in about 2 weeks from now? So I think that's just what they're looking at. But they got to address, I think, defensive back some more. I think that's definitely one area that you would point to. Outside of that, I don't think there's a lot of need, but definitely defensive back, and probably wouldn't hurt to add on to the defensive line as well. I mean, if you get Terrell, that would be obviously a guy that would fill that role. But if you don't get him, then you're going to need somebody else there. So I look mostly on the defense. I mean, you got a boatload of wide receivers, you got a boatload of running backs, you got a boatload of guys at certain positions, but you just got to kind of figure out who the stars are going to be for you, but you don't really have a need, I don't think. So, I'd say defensive back, defensive line are basically where they'll look and, kind of do like they did last year, fill out some spots throughout the spring, like the Drew Estradas or the Siaki Ikas, et cetera, Jacob Galls. That all happened, January and beyond. So, right now, still figuring that out, but we'll see a lot of activity in January and beyond.
There is a bizarre schedule this week in the NFL because of COVID and things have been delayed. There's games Tuesday, even Wednesday this week. Right now, Raiders lead the Browns late first quarter, 7-0 up in Cleveland. Cleveland's quarterbacks are out. with what is it? Baker Mayfield and the Super Bowl MVP. Is it?
No, it's Case Keenum.
Case Keenum. I'm sorry, Case Keenum, who played, of course, at the University of Houston, has been in the NFL a long, long time. And Tulsa right now leads in a bowl game against Old Dominion, 23-10, 10 minutes left, fourth quarter. We're now joined by Lindsay Rovegno with ESPN Plus, executive director of the series coming out about Baylor men's and women's basketball. Lindsay, thanks for your time today. I'd kind of been given a little bit of a heads up to this late in the week. It was announced during the women's game against Michigan yesterday. Thanks for your time. When did all of this start to kind of become real, and your thoughts about how this came together? And again, thanks for your time.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me. We've kept it under wraps for a little bit. We've been filming with them for a couple months now. And we sort of saw it as a unique opportunity to focus on two programs at the same school, both the men's and women's team. Just a nice juxtaposition of two dominant programs. The Our Time series has been around. This is its third season. We've done 2 football series. But this was a great opportunity to focus on not only basketball, but a women's program as well.
What's jumped out at you so far as you started to follow them?
I think what's really fascinating for me, especially as a working mom, frankly, is watching Coach Collin as she juggles her family and coaching this dominant team. You kind of see her as she travels back on a plane, back to see her family in Atlanta, going to her daughter's cheer competition, and kind of getting a behind-the-scenes look at that access is really fascinating for me personally.
So, Lindsay, how ingrained are you guys? I mean, what can viewers expect in terms of the time that you're around the team? I mean, how closely following and how often is this all being filmed, and kind of what what is the timing of it all in terms of kind of where you start and where you plan on finishing?
Yeah, so we started in preseason. We're there, meeting rooms, locker rooms, practice, on the sidelines, and we're going to take you through the entire season. It's 12 episodes, launching January 6th on ESPN Plus. It's 1 episode every week, every Thursday. We're going to take you all the way through as far as the teams go. Not only will you see, within the athletic facilities, but we also plan to show you, a personal look at the players and the coaches. So, like I said, Coach Collin, juggling her family. Melissa Smith, there's a scene where she is painting and talking to her parents on the phone. We see Matthew Mayer going to get his signature haircut. So we're spending a good amount of time with these coaches and players.
Does that get its own special episode, the Matthew Mayer haircut? Is that its own standalone episode?
It's not its own standalone episode. We probably could have made it one.
Yeah, no, you could have, and it would have probably been the highest rated segment you have because he's such a character. But there's always stories that sometimes when you go in, you don't know them. I mean, you kind of do, you don't. You've done your research. They've told you a lot of things as well. How do these things eventually play out? How quickly do you shoot something, put it to bed, so to speak, ready for another series, and then sometimes things come at the last second? And how do you figure all of that out along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting is that we started filming early, and you have time in the earlier episodes to put it together, right? So when you see episode 1, when it drops in early January, it's some things we gathered earlier. But as the season starts to progress, we get closer and closer on tight turnarounds. And we just have to react as we get closer and closer and more in real time. So we might have to scrap something or start over and turn it quickly to react. I mean, one thing I'm sure will be fascinating, obviously, COVID is making its way back. So we're going to probably have to react to that somehow, I'm sure.
Lindsay, when you are starting something, you don't really know, some of the characters. Matthew Mayer, we just said, he's a character.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Collin and Coach Drew obviously going to be focuses of when you're doing that. What's been the pleasant surprise of people you didn't know anything about going in?
Oh, that's a good one. Trying to think. I don't know. Can I say I'm going to keep it as a secret for now and let you guys tune in. Jordan Lewis, I'm sure, will be fascinating along the way. But why don't we have everyone tune in?
Okay. Scott Drew, famously personable and energetic and always in a good mood. Did your cameras happen to catch him in a non-good mood at all at any point?
Not yet, I don't think. But yes, there are some good scenes of him with the team, in the locker room, and I'm told there's a good moment where he's kind of singing. We'll see if it makes the cut. And there's a really good scene actually where he's kind of coaching the team, putting the game plan together for one of the early games. So some good moments there.
So you're just a couple of weeks away from the debut. The premiere's on January 6th. 12-episode season. Debuts on Thursdays on Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus as well. We as a station, our company, the umbrella of Sikkim365.com, shot a documentary on last year's men's championship and really put together the history of Baylor athletics, the good, the bad, the dark, and the amazing. And I can't imagine, we've talked to the director of that, Sir Charles Scott, and how many hundreds of hours of what you film. How do you break it down into just one series every week? How difficult is that?
It's not easy, I will tell you that. You're with them all the time, and you sort of have to look at it holistically and think about what pieces fit together in every single episode. So, to your question earlier about scrapping things, we have episodes laid out on what we want to hit, but it might not work out that way. And we've got to pour through that footage and pour through those interviews and figure out who the best characters are and maybe someone who surprises us. And then we have to go follow that person. So we're constantly adjusting on the fly as we go.
When you approached Baylor about this opportunity, obviously they were receptive because they're doing it, but how excited are they? What were their thoughts on the opportunity for both the men's and women's programs and the attention that it could bring?
They were on board pretty quickly, frankly. It didn't take much convincing. They were really excited about the opportunity to show their programs. I think Coach Drew, obviously, this is going to be a great look at a team trying to repeat, right? And right now they're the top team. So we're hoping to take advantage of it and hope they stay there. And then obviously the women, Coach Colin has come in. She's got WNBA experience, and she's following Mulkey, who has her own legacy. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of fascinating to see that transition. And both coaches were open to it and excited about it.
I saw a little bit of it when I think it was Nikki in the car. You got both the coaches talking in the car, and she mentioned how she understands that she might be the most critiqued women's basketball coach in America because of following a legend who had won numerous national championships and also conference championships. How do you feel like she's handled it so far?
I think she's doing great. I think she's handled it with class. I think she talks about it, as you saw, that, she's got big shoes to fill and there's high expectations, but I think she's bringing her own twist and her own spin to it to make it her own program. And I think it's exciting to watch.
All right. Thank you very much. Lindsay, it starts January 6th. Is that the premiere episode?
That is the premiere, yes. 1 a week following that.
Okay. 1 a week, 12 episodes, ESPN Plus, our time from Baylor's and men's and women's basketball programs as well, exclusively on the Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus. Lindsay, thanks very much. Hope to maybe get you again or someone else attached to the series maybe as we get closer and then into it a little bit as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Again, that's Lindsay Rovegno, who's the executive director for ESPN Plus on our time, Baylor men's basketball and the women's program with Nikki Collin as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see Nikki Collin speaking on, the shoes she's stepping into and all of that. I'm sure that will be a very interesting storyline. But, yeah, just two pretty amazing programs. Both are top 10 right now. Obviously the men are number one and fresh off a national title. Women have been to the mountaintop more than one occasion, but now it's a new era. So yeah, that's cool. That's great exposure. It'll be good for both programs, I would imagine. Just in terms of recruiting and things like that. So yeah, that's a nice little surprise, and it's going to be funny. All the people that hate ESPN, they're going to have to turn to ESPN to watch this. The ESPN hates Baylor crowd's going to have a tough time with this one, but it's great exposure.
Well, and I saw a little bit of that discussion as far as on the board on Sikkim365.com, the premium section, a little bit of that. And you know, again, there might be this possibility that even sometimes whenever we make predictions from high school games to whatever else, we wake up every morning and so do networks wondering how we can make your life miserable. And it's joking there. And yeah, there are some trends that sometimes make you raise your eyebrows about what is covered and what is not. One men's basketball note that we also wanted to add, Kansas beat Stephen F. Austin over the weekend. And they kind of looked like they jumped out on them pretty quickly. And Kyle Keller and the Lumberjacks had them scared to death. And it went down to the wire again. And that's why my alma mater and Kyle, it's hard for them to get non-conference games against anybody. Remember Duke? They beat Baylor, 3 years ago or so.
Oh, I have a feeling that now that SFA calls, they're like, we are open that day, but we've got other people.
They've won at LSU. They won at Duke. They won at Baylor, and they were at down to a shot or two against KU at Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, the minute they beat Duke, people probably moved
it's like
at Cameron Indoor.
It's like scheduling North Dakota State back a few years ago, and all of a sudden you realize they're better than probably 30 or 40 of the FBS teams as well. Some of the talk on the chat room, and we got a couple more things to get to as well, including Scott Drew joins us today at 5 o'clock. Cowboys are now number 2 seed in the NFC after their win yesterday against the Giants, and Tampa Bay beaten by the Saints. How about that? We'll have David Hellman will join us with Paul Catalina in the 5 o'clock hour as well. Couple of notes on the wide receivers, biscuits and gravy on Hal Presley, Baylor's wide receiver from Auburn to transfer. Looked good, I thought. And there's a lot of discussion about Isaac Power, who's graduated, who's a phenomenal punter. I mean, he was maybe one of the most unsung heroes of that football season for Baylor. He damn sure was against Oklahoma State, even though they drove the length of the field and almost scored by within inches. He was fantastic in key games this year. So there's a little bit of that chat going on as well on the chat line as well, 254-339-1122. When we come back, we'll have a couple of notes. We'll look at the scores today around college and pro football and a couple of other nuggets as well when it comes to college football and men's basketball. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. I was by the dealership the other day, and the dealership, of course, is loaded up for what they're calling, to finish out the year, the Big Finish event. The Big Finish sales event going on right now at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. The 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo or Limited. Total values of $2,400. $2,400 or 0% financing is an option for 72 months. Then, on top of that, the 2021 Ram 1500 Lone Star Quad Cab. Values of up to $6,750. That's $6,750 or 2.9% for 72 months, plus $2,000 in bonus cash. These are opportunities right now. Dealer discounts, the brand discounts, and, of course, the Ram truck voted number 1 by J.D. Powers as the top quality truck in America and the top quality vehicle in America. They have those available. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Finish the event. Finish the year. Finish what you want when it comes to maybe that my extra special Christmas gift as well at Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness continues to add more weapons to your getting or staying in shape arsenal with 8 brand new treadmills ready for you to run or walk a mile or 2 or 10. And with the explosion of interest in pickleball with instructors Joe Rosa and Jody Thurman with more courts available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with large flat screens stretched across the weight room with Wi-Fi available, their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports. Everywhere you look, there's energy, passion, and commitment. New touchless water fountains outside of each locker room and all the locker rooms with showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts with a youth academy led by pro Britt Coleman. Fitness and tennis merchandise available and a tanning bed. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes including twice-a-week boot camp. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
All right, we're back. We have Scott Drew coming up at 5 o'clock. Baylor host Alcorn State. Biscuits and Gravy on the chat room saying, okay, I got to go. Good, ready to the Farrell Center. I don't know how quick or how close you can get, Armstrong, of this right here. Jack is off this week, and we'll see him next week in New Orleans. So Armstrong's going to zoom in on this. This is the play. This is the play that basically ended the Big 12 championship game. Jaron McVay making the play, and they've called it the McPlay. And Sikkim365.com and Brian Etheridge, Ashley Hodge, and Colt Barber put in a lot of effort. I came up here yesterday. I guess it was yesterday to look for something that one of our viewers was going to send to us. And they ordered 350 of these. All right? And I basically sold out. And Brian and his wife were up here stuffing envelopes with the mailing labels and everything. This is your copy, Paul. Everybody that's a part of the crew here got one. Then there's one that is like this big. And they were for $1,250 each, and they sold out of them in like seconds. Here's a bigger one, and I'm going to lean it down there. And this is like, I thought this was going to be poster board. Listen to this right here. This is like almost a, what is it, like a glass or metal?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And there are some bigger than that were sold as well. So Great job by the ownership.
If you're a Baylor fan, you can see, it's kind of funny in the background of this picture, you can see the Oklahoma State fans leaving the stadium. Yeah, that
man,
time.
they got out of there quick after that play, man. They really did. No, like I'm not even trying to like pour salt or anything. It's just like after that play, you look down all of a sudden after everything kind of settled down for a second, and like half the stadium was gone. It was crazy.
Look, I've been at AT&T Stadium more times than I even know, working Cowboys games and, name it. Whatever I've done, the high school football, what we've done, Big 12, Baylor, Texas Tech games. The Oklahoma State fans got out of there so fast that, okay, we did the post-game show for an hour and then I left. An hour after a game at AT&T Stadium usually means you're still in traffic. I wasn't in traffic at all until I got south of Fort Worth, where I caught up to all the Baylor people coming home. That was the only time I was in traffic. It was unbelievable. That's how fast they left.
Well, and that play's not over. That play, if again, it looks like there's a chance, and then, but it was the moment, and it's just still remarkable to me the physics of that play from Oklahoma State and the running back, and also from Jaron McVay. A slight tug on his collar, I think, was the difference that just ended, because that normally 9 out of 10 times the running back's going to make it.
I remember seeing an Oklahoma State fan try to call horse collar on that play, and I was like, "Are you been kidding me?" And if you look back, I mean, he barely grazes him, but I do think he grazed him just enough to just enough of a tug that just made that difference. I mean, the difference in an inch being a touchdown, and a Big 12 championship for Oklahoma State, and that inch being a Big 12 championship for Baylor, and an incredible goal line stand.
By the way, our buddy Dal Myers from Prompt Technology, his daughter Amelia interned for us last year. She's an Oklahoma State grad. Dal's a Baylor grad. Amelia, for his birthday and for Christmas this year, bought him tickets to that game. He just texted and said she's still not talking to him.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either, Amelia. It was a bad moment. Now,
tell her we said what's up.
From Glenn, he was asking about back to the women's basketball loss to Michigan. What's wrong with Queen Egbo? I remember asking Nikki Collin, Baylor women's coach, this at one of the post-game pressers maybe a month ago. Queen Egbo offensively has just basically almost been a no-show. And again, it's a different offense. She was a great post player inside as part of the transition. Nalissa Smith, more of an outside player, great athlete, probably the number one player in the WNBA draft. They had the lottery yesterday, but for Queen, it's a work in progress, and so it's just kind of where they are right now. And then I got this from the 251. Wanted to mention this during one of the Alabama basketball games. They showed a graphic of Alabama being number 1 in football, number 6 in basketball. And they directly compared it to Baylor being number 1 in basketball and number 6 in football. Now, is Alabama still 6? Because didn't they just lose? I think they just lost. I had the top 25 here just a moment ago. But
I think they.
But Alabama plays Baylor at home in that SEC challenge with the Big 12 in late January, and that's a collision course waiting to happen without question right there as well. So,
what was compared?
Alabama is now at 11 in one poll, 10 in another. They just dropped 4 spots. They were talking about the rankings, 1 and 6, 1 and 6. Alabama's dropped a little bit in basketball after they lost this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good run for both programs, and certainly the fact that you won that national title last year in basketball takes a little bit of the pressure off, I think, in a major way. Now it's just trying to do it again, which is incredibly difficult. But it's very cool to see Bama's basketball program that's way up there, and obviously football's been immensely successful. Baylor football needs to get themselves in the playoff to really make it an exact comparison. But really good run for both programs right now.
Alabama lost 5 or 6 days ago to Memphis. They did win this past weekend against Jacksonville State. All right, Scott Drew will join us here momentarily. The chat room from Gary Lewis. The 1989 influences on Todd Dodge. Dennis Erickson, 1989, the Miami, Florida head coach. Hurricanes, as he mentioned, Gary bringing up the Todd Dodge interview, the zone run concepts, 3 to 5 step drops, and the first and throw on the first offense. His other, Mouse Davis, and Hal Mummy, who coached here in Central Texas at Copper's Cove for a while. Also that influence, along with Mike Leach. So imagine where Todd Dodge, part of his tree, where he came from, some of the limbs and branches that he was a part of. of that coaching tree with Mouse Davis, Hal Mummy, among some others as well.
Yeah, that 89 Miami team had Gina Torretta just throwing touchdown passes ridiculously, and even late in the season, people couldn't wrap their head around how fast they threw the ball.
That tied Washington for the national title, or
I think
Colorado?
that one was later on. But like those, it was like a couple years later. But 89, yeah, maybe.
Because I think Colorado, Washington and Miami may have split a national championship, and then Washington went to Miami a year or two later and broke their long home winning streak, and Colorado was in that mix as well 1 year. I'm not sure.
Torretta might have been 92, so yeah, that would have been a time. So yeah, but they just, I remember I went to see them play West Virginia in the Orange Bowl. They had Lamar Thomas and Horace Copeland.
Who did they not have?
Yeah, unbelievable. And I remember I was 12, and I was so scared.
They were just amazing, and yet they did not win the national title every single year, and they did not win 3 in a row, although they had a great run from the year that they beat Nebraska in 83 until really 2001, and then they've kind of started to simmer, and things just haven't been quite the same. And they hope that it gets back to that now with Mario Cristobal back in the program as the head coach. Tulsa now, late fourth quarter, 4 minutes left with the ball near midfield, leading Old Dominion 30-17 would be a great win for Philip Montgomery and company. Could get them at 7-6 after it got to a bowl game, and this has been another difficult year, and they found a way to get to a bowl game. When we come back, Scott Drew, head coach of the defending national champions, winning Saturday night in a game that if you watched any of it, it was grinded out, and it wasn't easy, and it could have gotten away from them in that first half, but they found a way, as they seem to do always. Scott Drew on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports next.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street. Look, if you are getting that last-minute Christmas gift for somebody who is maybe a bourbon enthusiast, they've got stuff like Pinhook. I just bought a bottle of Pinhook. It's fantastic. Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, Bardstown. So that's your high-end bourbons right there. Great craft beer if they're a craft beer. If they're a wine aficionado, they've got so many good and different types of wine. You can go in there and just ask them. Gin, vodka, whatever it is, they've got it at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. And right now is the best time to go in and get to experience their great customer service, because you may not know. Like, you may not be a bourbon fanatic like I am, but you may want to say, hey, my friend at Paul, he likes bourbon. What should I get him? What's something that would really, warm the cockles of his heart? I'm just using that example. There's lots of people named Paul.
Well, is this a special NIL for Paul?
I'm just saying, look, there are guys named Paul, Anthony, Catalina, maybe everywhere, but right here. But if you're there and you say, all right, my friend Paul Catalina is a big bourbon aficionado, what should I get him? And they would say, I know he would love a bottle of Bardstown. I'm swinging for the fences, by the way, on that one. But you can do that. And because they know their stuff at Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street. Great drive-through window. It's super fast. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less.
sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance, and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Jay from Pickup Outfitters here with your holiday gift-giving guide. So it seems the air fryer is an, air quotes, hot Christmas gift this year. An air fryer? Come on, really? First, an air fryer is not a real fryer. It has no grease. It's a mini convection oven. And you probably already have one of those in your house. So you're just wasting money on something that's not even real. You know what is real? A grill guard. It's made of real steel and it protects the truck of someone you love. And you can get one for that special person on your Christmas list at Pickup Outfitters. So avoid common Christmas gift mistakes like house slippers, a beard, nose, ear, hair, and eyebrow trimmer. Or a man purse? You better not. Give a Christmas gift that says, I love you. A grill guard, a toolbox, running boards, and other great gifts at Pickup Outfitters. You can even get a gift certificate to let them pick out whatever they want. Pickup Outfitters is the Christmas gift headquarters. 220 Lake Erie Drive in Waco.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
The Big Finish sales event is going on now at Allen Samuels. The new 2022 Ram 1500 Lone Star Quad Cab has values up to $6,750 or 2.9% for 72 months, plus $2,000 bonus cash. First responders get an extra $500. Ram, the winner of the prestigious J.D. Powers Initial Quality. The Big Finish sales event is now at Allen Samuels, 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Cryer from the corner. And it rattles home.
Wow. Little T.O., baby.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Learn more at richardcarr.com.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Men's basketball coach, national championship head coach Scott Drew. What a start for Baylor after the win on Saturday night against Oregon. You know, I asked you this in the post game, and no, I had not been sleeping, but I was wearing a T-shirt. So tough because you guys closed the gap at the end of the half, and it gave you that kind of surge. And then here comes what I call that defensive boa constrictor. I mentioned, how does it work? Is that just now the culture of your team? You just know if you just keep grinding, things will happen?
I like that. What was that? The defensive boa constrictor?
Yeah.
Maybe we need to. Yeah. Maybe you need to coin that, patent it, and start making some revenue off that.
I think I'll use that. Yeah. Hashtag boa constrictor. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Well, I think a couple things. One, our players do a great job when we make adjustments and adjusting to it. Number two, you look at our depth, and our depth normally wears people down. And then number three. Whenever you're ranked number one, you're playing on the road. The other team is so fired up and excited at the beginning of the game, and as time wears on, then they return usually back to normal. And you look at Oregon, I thought they really, the first 10 minutes were on fire and played a tremendous game, and then that last 8 minutes of the half, we were able to kind of establish some rhythm and get back to what Baylor basketball is about, and that is good defense and good shot selection, getting stops, getting out in transition.
You've done all of this. You can't start the year any better. You've won every game.
Yeah.
You've won every game by 8 points or more. It's a great start.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guard, and how have you guarded against complacency?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to have players that are about the right things, and they're about the process. They're about each and every day getting better and trying to win the last game. And if they understand the big picture, they don't get caught up with the here and now. And we always say a lot of people can handle failure because a lot more go through failure than success, but it's even harder to handle success. And you look at, hence that's why no one's won a game on the road being number one this year so far. So I think just making them aware of all that, and the biggest thing is having upperclassmen and people on your team that do a great job in conveying that to the younger guys, because at the end of the day, players listen to players more than they do coaches, and making sure that the upperclassmen are stating and guiding the ship the way the coaches want it guided, and they do a great job of that.
So your bigs, and I mentioned even the young guys that play so well defensively on the perimeter, you can switch them around. No one can isolate, it seems like, on anybody. When you're recruiting now, is that just a must that you have to have those type of players, that they have to be those type of players?
Well, we've always tried to adjust whatever style we play based on the personnel we have. So, for instance, we recruited Zach Eddy and at Purdue, and if he would have been a part of our program, maybe if he's in the game, you're looking at a different ball screen defense. Mm-hmm. So I think you'll always adapt what you do based on the personnel. The big thing is finding people that fit your culture, fit your program, people you want to coach that will help your program, and then that's on us coaches to make sure we put them in the best light possible.
So you get to 400 wins, and in typical Scott Drew, you talked about how it's a team or program accomplishment, and I get that. I know that it takes more than just you, but you're the one that started this, along with many others who have been with you from start to finish. When you started in coaching, like the first win, I'm sure is huge, and maybe the 100th. Did you ever expect to be able to get to 400 or maybe 800 or anything like that?
I honestly never really put much stock into it, and it's kind of like opening in a new restaurant or business. You were just so busy and you're grinding. You're really not thinking of 200, 300, 400 wins, and you know, I love how we approach it. And those are team awards, team honors. I mean, Player of the Year. Those awards don't go to the last place team, and wins aren't given unless you have great players, great staff, administration, fan support. For us coaches, our wives and families that sacrifice a lot. So we really understand that all those are team honors and team awards. And again, I think the older I get, the more appreciative I am of just all the sacrifices everyone's made to help this program get to where it's at. And that includes you staying up late at night in T-shirts and reporting on the Baylor Bears.
Hey, well, absolutely. James Akinjo, he's obviously playing at a high level. There are times, like, again, I'm not going to break down it, but there was a time I think you had a 2-on-1. He was hot. He pulled up and tried to hit a 3, didn't go in, but he really has become that straw that can stir the drink. Is he someone that's maturing right in front of your eyes from when he first started, getting used to those around him and them getting used to him?
Most definitely. He's somebody that each and every day knows more and more what the coaching staff wants, and then getting adjusted to his teammates, where they want the ball passed, when they want when they want it passed, knowing who's hot, who's not. Knowing as a point guard, you're more than it's like a quarterback. You got to know if you got a receiver that hadn't had a touch and starting to get frustrated. You got to give him a look, you know, and different things like that to encourage your teammates.
Would you rather him get maybe more to the rim, or is he going to be more the perimeter type? He had a couple of shots off the screens on Saturday. Is that something you think comes with because of his quickness to get to the rim? He's great at distributing, like the dunk to Kendall, that kind of spark you guys. Is that something you think he'll get to be able to do more?
Well, he led the Pac-12 in assists, so he's definitely capable of facilitating. He's done a great job with us. He leads us in assists. At the same time, I think he averaged 16 a game in the Pac-12, and he scored at Georgetown. And we've had scoring point guards throughout our career you look at Pierre Jackson, Aaron Bruce, Tweety Carter, Curtis Terrell's, on and on and on. So it's knowing the more you play with your team, that balance. I thought second half he gave us a great lift, gave us a great start. But in the first half, Adam Flagler was going, and I thought the team did a great job feeding and looking to Adam. So it's a balance. I think James has gotten better at finishing at the rim. His left hand's gotten better. But at the end of the day, he is someone that's more than capable of knocking down the 3-point shot. Shot a good percentage at Arizona. And one thing, talking to Coach Miller, he said as the year goes on, he shoots better. And I think James will do that for us. He'll continue to improve his shooting percentage as he becomes more and more comfortable with things. Now, we all know the Big 12, 7 of the top 25 teams defensively come from the Big 12. So it's not like things get easier when you get into conference play. But you have to have players when the plays break down and after you run through your progressions. It's like a quarterback. Everybody's covered. What play can you make now? And that's where you got to have players that can get themselves shots and their teammates shots when everything breaks down.
Tell me if I'm being
he can do that.
Yeah, no, he seems to be able to and has. Tell me if I'm being too critical. And the free throw shooting from last year, at times it seemed like you guys would kind of get into a rut, but you always won, and you made them down the stretch when they mattered. What's more important, overall team free throw shooting or free throws in the clutch?
Well, they all matter, but definitely in the clutch when it's a one-possession game, those seem to keep you up a little later at night than when you're up 12 and miss a free throw. So with us, you look at it, again, first road game in 2 years where there's fans. And I know it was a Saturday night. It was a break night. They didn't have students, but they still had about 8,000 there. And that's something different. You look at last year on the road, there was 10% fans everywhere, except for Tech, and I don't know how they count, but that was a pretty packed house. So my point with that is it takes getting used to when there's 10% versus 8,000 fans in the stands, and that's just a natural progression. And I think that's why it's so tough to win on the road in college basketball, and especially the first couple times you go on the road and you're not used to it.
Scott, last thing. Here comes this. A handful of games. Tennessee and Memphis canceled. Penny Hardaway mentioned like 90% of his team was vaccinated, but they had to cancel their game. How are you guys? Is that something that's become much more front and center again, that you have to deal with all of that again?
Yeah, unfortunately, everybody's dealing with it. And when the first couple games got canceled, it was like you thought, what's going on? And then now with so many, you're like, okay, we're going to have to make sure when we come back from break, we do everything we can to protect our guys. And obviously, our team has done a great job and to thus far in the season, not missing any games. And Dave Snyder does a great job, and Charlie Melton making sure our guys are doing what they need to do to be safe. And our players want to play games. And I won't go into how many have been vaccinated, but I mean, everybody's takes it very serious, and that's why we haven't missed games thus far. Doesn't make it perfect, but hopefully each and every night you play, it's a blessing, and it brings that back to you. And our guys are really educated on that, and thus we've been successful the last couple of years.
Baylor, Alcorn State tonight at the Farrell Center. Scott Drew, thanks for your time, Coach.
Hey, appreciate you, and with all the Baylor fans out there traveling over the holidays, you be safe, and thank you for all that you do for Baylor Athletics. Merry Christmas to y'all.
Sikkim 365 Radio.
He is so infectious. His positivity and his personality is truly almost, it just seems like one of a kind. When we come back, more here on the 5 o'clock hour. Cowboys winning yesterday. They handled the Giants, and man, the NFC East is really bad, and the Cowboys are really good, and that's why you have like a 9-game lead. And we'll hear from David Hellman with Paul Catalina and more. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Sports Bettors, BetUS.com has All your action, NBA, NHL, college bowls, NFL. And look, the NFL, crazy. There's stuff going on with COVID. It's going to affect the betting lines. They've got all the information up on their website, betus.com. Look, you've heard me talk about the promo code SICK'EM125 and SICK'EM250. Well, guess what? Right now, you can get all those bonuses with a $50 deposit. Not just a $100 deposit, a $50 deposit. It was $100, now it's $50 for the rest of the year. So 125% bonus on cash, 250% bonus on crypto. So that sounds pretty good to me. SICK'EM125, SICK'EM250, right here, betus.com, and do it with just $50. If whatever you're using, cryptocurrency or cash, that's at betus.com. So go to betus.com today.
It's Baylor football season, and as always, Berg Colgin Ford supports the green and gold. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Berg Colgin Ford. It's time for team celebrations and BU touchdowns. Berg Colgin Ford is your home team when it comes to trucks and tailgates. Ford has the perfect truck for you to host a top-ranked tailgate party. Here's to a winning season for our hometown Bears. Visit us anytime at bkford.com. Buying made simple at BK Ford. Sick 'em Bears.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strip, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, joins us now for his usual Monday visit. And David, we'll talk about the defense in a second, but of course everybody's been concerned about the offense. I know it was not a, week 4 or 5 kind of performance from the Cowboys, but it did look like some things were getting right. What do you attribute that to against the Giants, outside the Giants just being listless right now?
Yeah, I thought it was better. I hesitate to say it was good. But yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. I just thought they were doing some of the basic things that they haven't been able to do. They had the short passing game going underneath, finding Dalton Schultz. The running game, certainly not as dominant as it looked at the beginning of the season, but was a lot more competent. And mainly, I think I attribute that to the offensive line playing a lot better. I think Connor Williams gave them some juice and some athleticism. It really felt like they were targeting his side of the line a lot, especially in the early going. And he was getting to the second level. He was pulling, doing a lot of stuff in space that we haven't seen. I'm encouraged that when they get Tyron Smith back, maybe they can get that offensive line operating back at that level that we've been used to. And again, not an amazing game from Dak Prescott, but a cleaner game. Most of the miscues in that game, I thought, were from the receivers, particularly CeeDee Lamb, in terms of not being able to get things going downfield. So, like I said, I'm not ready to call it good, but I think I've got a sliver of optimism that they're trending in the right direction, at least when it comes to the fundamental basic stuff.
Well, the defense has been carrying the team for weeks, and now that they are, about as at full strength as you can get at this point in the season for any unit on the field, they are straight up dominant. And I know that the Giants are playing without their starting quarterback, and their offensive line isn't good, but to really control an NFL team like they did yesterday and cause as many turnovers continues to impress me. And David, I don't know if you feel this way. I've almost completely forgotten that the Cowboys used to be a team that turnovers are so foreign to them. We would wait weeks between games when we saw them.
Oh, forgotten. I've covered this team way too long and watched way too many seasons where they might have 7 interceptions in a whole season, let alone one guy that has 10. So I'm just enjoying every step of the way, just kind of marveling at how they've managed to transform themselves into a unit that, they single-handedly dominated that game, but they've done it for about 3 weeks now. Starting with that Saints game at the beginning of the month, at no point in these last 3 have you felt like, well, the opposing offense is going to be able to put up some points and we need to score here. It's like, no, even when the offense has its miscues, the defense gets the ball right back, makes a big play, does what it needs to. They've allowed, in terms of defensive points allowed, they've allowed 17, 13, and 6 these last 3 weeks. So, I think that really speaks for itself. Now, the flip side of that is they've been on a nice little run of playing bad quarterbacks, and they're probably going to get another bad quarterback on Sunday against Washington, but that's going to run out eventually, and I think it seems like a lot of fans are antsy, and I think that's why. This defense is amazing, but you're going to go up against a team where you need more from your offense at some point. But fortunately for them, as long as you keep stacking wins, you can buy yourself more time until you need to have that conversation.
How different do you think the end of the season will be, maybe not just for the Cowboys, but for everyone, since there's only one bye this year and the way that teams will have to play that in Week 18?
Well, I mean, that was the thing last year. I mean, so we've got some experience with only having one bye. This is the second year they're doing it. So I think it is in a vacuum. I do think it gives you some clarity. Maybe it kind of changes the way that you kind of jockey for position because, yeah, it's much less likely you get the bye. But having said that, I mean, my God, this is the most, even in a league that's known for its parity, this is the most even season I can remember. I mean, it's basically Christmas. We're going to get to Christmas Day and only have one of 14 playoff berths locked up. Green Bay locked up their division last night. The other 13 spots are all up for grabs. I think like 12 of the 16 teams in the AFC have a winning record. And then you look at the carnage in the NFC. I mean, you got 3 teams tied for the 2 seed. So you'd like to think it could clear it up, but this year it really might not. I mean, we'll see what happens, but you could be talking about as many as 3 or 4 teams having a shot at the 1 seed, at least going into the second to last, if not the last week of the season. And I mean, that's incredibly exciting. Hopefully it leads to a lot of meaningful games in the last 2 weeks.
Did Zeke Elliott look a little bit better to you? I mean, at least healthier?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think he looked fresher. He was able, it looks like they trust him to run outside the tackle box a little more often. They did some more stretch stuff with him than what we've gotten used to. He had a little bit more burst. I think he had like an 11 and a 13-yard gain, which is about as far as we've seen him run in the last 6 weeks. So I don't think he's all the way back. And like we keep saying, he might not be all year. I think I said that on our podcast today is like Tony Pollard clearly looks like the fresher back, but it's encouraging that Zeke is coming along nicely enough that he can give you some of that stuff he's usually capable of.
Yeah, it was nice to see Tony Pollard too not look too terribly banged up. You know, he looked pretty much the same to me. I know you got to be careful because his foot's hurting and he's got plantar fasciitis, but he looked like Tony Pollard, and that was encouraging, especially for the stretch run.
Yeah, he averaged 6.2 yards per carry. Like I said, I mean, I think I'm now at a point, and I don't say this to knock Zeke because he's clearly banged up, but the Cowboys have clearly decided Zeke doesn't need any time off, or they're resisting it maybe at least until they lock up a playoff spot. But until they have a chance to get Zeke a little bit healthier, I would be giving the Lions' share of the carries to Tony Pollard for the time being, just because he does look fresher, he does look a little bit more explosive. And going back to about the bye, it's going to be interesting to see what all's on the table for the Cowboys because you can't stop playing if you've got a shot at the 1 seed. But, man, it would be big for this team if either through the playoff bye or just taking the last week of the season off. Either way, it would be huge for this team to sit those guys and have them both a little bit fresher when these playoff games start.
David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com with us every Monday. David, thanks a lot. Merry Christmas, man. Talk to you next week.
Merry Christmas, guys. Talk to you soon.
IdealMRI.com.
No. We have like 20 minutes before you have to do that.
Well, he was looking at me as if I needed to do a commercial.
I'm telling you guys, the way the show has fallen, we are well ahead of time.
Yeah. Well,
let's celebrate it with being able to discuss sports for all this time.
I'm not sure why you're so angry about it. Gary Lewis, by the way, remember earlier in the show I brought up the national championship split. Miami, Washington, Colorado was in that little 2 or 3 year deal. Gary Lewis, Miami, Florida, and University of Washington split the 91 national title. Also, it was Colorado and who that split. I thought may have split one as well.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Bobby Ross, yeah.
Georgia Tech as well. So, golly, that's back when there was a split. You know what? The world went on. You could argue about it, but there were still national champions, and it was not that big of a deal. But now, of course, we do get the one, and now we, of course, also get the BCS now into the playoff, and now the semifinals. We'll see what happens as well. Biscuits and gravy, holiday ugly sweater, T-shirts, all gone by the time I got here to the store, I guess.
Well, that's not really that bad. You can be different. Forge your own path.
Why not just have a good-looking sweater?
Yeah, I don't know. I will, and we might talk about this a little more on the Wednesday show because it'll be more of the holiday stuff. But I was telling someone about when I was in third grade, and I had to wear we were in the Christmas pageant. Back in the third grade, they make every kid sing. Whether they can sing or not, they make every kid sing. I don't understand it, but they do. So my mom bought this red Christmas sweater with white reindeer on it for me to wear specifically in the Christmas pageant. And I protested.
I am going to get her to find the picture.
Oh, I'm sure she's got it.
We will put them up on this show.
I'm sure she's got it. And my dad was so mad at me for disrespecting my mom, and she bought this sweater especially, and I made her really sad. I remember thinking every kid in school is going to make fun of me. And then I got there, and I guess the biggest relief was everybody else's mom was on the same page with the ridiculous sweaters. But don't do that to your kids.
No, I mean, that's just part of life. It's part of growing up. You have those moments. Moms always mean the best. They do. Unless when mine was upset, she would make sauerkraut, liver, and onions, and Brussels sprouts. Baylor Bear 03, are we still talking transfer portal? It's been a while since we did. Craig kind of went down the list of some things that the class of 2022, what they could possibly add to the list. But why do anything now, as he mentioned? Because there's so many games still to be played, the transfer portal will be filled up with even more talent and availability here in about the next 2 or 3 weeks.
That's pretty much it. I mean, there's nothing pending. There's nothing imminent. Nothing. They're sitting back. They're taking holiday break, and they're gonna revisit it after all that's said and done. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect again anything transfer portal wise like a rush. I mean, maybe there's a guy they pick up or something, but I mean, it's gonna be a process. It's not something that's must do right now, get it done. I mean, they're not in a hurry in any way, shape, or form to go and pick up guys out of the transfer portal. So, yes, they're going to recruit the transfer portal, and yes, they're going to bring on some transfers. But this week, no, there's no point in it unless somebody really good just happened to announce. But outside of that, I mean, there's guys playing in these games right now that are going to be in the transfer portal. So, there's no hurry.
One of the reasons for SicEm365.com, the premium section, is we are closing in on, I think, maybe gone by or close to 3,000 subscribers. That's on the website alone. It's not about what we do with YouTube or also the app or things like that. But one of the reasons to get on the premium section is some of the inside information you get. And I saw Colt earlier in the last 3 to 5 days had something about a University of Washington lineman that was perhaps on the radar for Baylor, and those are some of the nuggets that you get as well every once in a while.
If you look at, if you just go to, I'm on 24/7 Sports right now, where the transfer portal is, for every Bo Nix or Spencer Rattler or Austin Stogner that's committed to their new place already, there's 20 guys who aren't even close.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of that's coaching changes too. Guys just ready to jump. And look, there might be, like I just said, there might be an addition, but there is nothing imminent or anything like that as far as I can tell. I don't think the staff's in any hurry to go and start plucking guys right now. Maybe something happens, but I'm not banking on it. I think they're fully locked in on just letting things kind of shake out and also preparing for the Sugar Bowl and obviously Christmas as well. So they're pretty.
Florida, are you going to go to Florida now because you like the coach better than you might have, before with Dan Mullen or whatever, vice versa, or because you've played for a year or two and your whole talent level is reevaluated differently. So while you may think oh man, I really didn't like it here at Tennessee, maybe they'll take me at Georgia. Well, Georgia's full up, so now you have to maybe go to Georgia Tech or wherever. So it's a whole new stack of cards or deck of cards every time that you're going to throw your name into the portal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see who they get ultimately, but have to wait on that.
I just saw this note about Bo Nix and the reason why it makes sense for Oregon. Kenny Dillingham, who was at Florida State, was at Auburn in 2019.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I mentioned that earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, look, Bo Nix is going to go play. You're going to try. The other thing you have to track is, look, that was just 2 years. Kenny Dillingham was at Florida State for 2 years. So that was just 2 years. So you've got to track the spider web of what guys might have been the wide receiver coach recruiting a tight end just because that was the recruit in his area. And he liked that guy, so he was going there, and now that guy's maybe at 2 different schools. And he just wants to go play for him because it didn't work out where he was. So it's really hard to figure the transfer portal. And, there are, you just, go down 24/7, and every time I I get to the bottom page, I hit load more.
And hit more.
Load more.
Yep.
Load more.
And there's so much more to come after players finish up their year and perhaps even put more on their resume too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's players playing right now that are going to be in the transfer portal in the next couple days. So, I mean, it's an ever-evolving thing. And I would say if you do want to know more about Baylor in particular and those types of questions, like we'll answer them. But, as far as like who are they looking at in the transfer portal, that's when you go sign up to be a premium member. That's where you will get all that information. And we're not going to spread everything that's said on there on the airwaves because why would we do that when others are paying for it? But if you want to get the inside scoop on what transfers they're looking at and actual names and who makes sense and that type of stuff, then become a premium member and you'll have your fair share. You'll have your fill of all that type of stuff, and plus a lot of other people talking about the same thing. And they still have that promo going on.
Yes, so they do. In fact, there's a code. I just have this. This is from Colt from about less than a month ago about the premium section. There is a promo that you can get right now with Sikkim365.com. Go to Sikkim365.com, the main page. There's also the premium membership for $35, 72% discount off the annual rate. Code is BF2021. That's kind of attached to our show, but you have one for all of the writers, every one of them. Plus, there's a promo that they put up again. They're trying to get past the 3,000 mark, and then it seems like once you get to 3,000, you pop to 3,400, and then 5,000, and then you're good. It's like the YouTube channel. I don't even know how many followers or subscribers we had. And next thing you know, you guys were talking about 5,000, 8,000, 10,000, 16,000, which to me is still mind-boggling, and we appreciate every one of you that is a part of that. The Baylor game on Saturday night was fun, close for the first half. Baylor pulled away, was happy to see the Ducks show up. Very inconsistent this year. Baylor looks good, looks great. That's from the Bird's Word, who's an Oregon fan. And someone mentioned how they were surprised Oregon gave Baylor much trouble because they have just been so erratic this year. And we discussed that on Friday with Jerome Tang. They have some dudes, bodies inside that are football player looking athletics, long and angular, thick, and I mean, just really, really good looking players, but they're inconsistent. That's their problem. They are inconsistent. And then you can see exactly why, because would they have 39 or so or whatever it was at halftime, and the next thing you know, 5, 6, 8 minutes into the second half, they'd scored like 8 points as Baylor kind of started putting that. And Paul, on a text message with us, you said it. Baylor's pulled from 10 to 4. They'll put their defensive squeeze on, and that's exactly what they did. They do it. That doesn't mean it can always happen, but they did it again.
No, if you can get to 8 points, if they're at 8 points, and then if they get to 10, then it's really hard. But if they're at 8, that means that you have to be plus 5 possessions on them down the stretch. And so they're at 8, and there's, just say, 7 minutes left. That means that every minute you have to make sure that you get a score and a stop to keep ahead of them, and that's just really not going to happen. And that doesn't happen most times with most games, especially not going to happen with Baylor. Oregon did get it down to 6 because Baylor got a little sloppy there at the end. But
they missed free throws, and that's something I asked Coach Drew about. They just seem like that's been something they've done, and they still win.
Well, and look, last year they had a bunch of guys who made them. Jared Butler made them. Davion Mitchell, I think, takes it like personally when he misses a free throw, when anything goes wrong. So
what would you rather have a team shoot 80% from the free, and that's a good number, 75, 80% as a team, or what they shoot when it's clutch? Because they all count the same.
Yeah. I would want to know that 8 out of 10 of those free throws are going in.
No matter when.
No matter when.
A minute left with the lead, or
I want
12 minutes into the game.
I want 80% of those going in.
I don't. That's a rarity to have most of them shooting 80%.
But it's tough. And part of it is that the game, I think part of this, the game has changed so much over the years that there are not kids who sit out in the driveway and shoot free throws anymore. But it was a bigger part of the game, in a bygone era.
Well, I didn't play basketball I played varsity basketball for 1 year, but I do remember a coach telling me one time, because I wasn't very good, you can score 8 to 12 points a game just from the free throw line, because I was playing guard. Mm-hmm. And I was going to have the ball in my hands late in the game. And believe me, I'm not trying to act like I made a lot of them, but I did. And I'd end up with 13 points, 9 points from the free throw line. And I wasn't very good, but there was a kid that played at Tyler Junior College, Williams. He ended up playing, I believe, at Tulane. And his free throw shooting percentage for the year was like 65%, and it was tough because he was a point guard. But the last 5 minutes of the game, they tracked it, and he shot 90% from the free throw line. So he had some that he missed as the game went on. But when it got to clutch time, when the ball was in his hands and people were fouling him because they were trying to come back or it was just critical, he made those 90% of them. It's kind of like, wow.
But, yeah, and just go back to Baylor versus Oregon. You saw them, play sloppy in the first half, not be able to score. I think L.J. Cryer's in a boot tonight. I think he is going to sit out. So that's something to bear watching. But, I mean, they get it from where they need it. And in the early part of the second half, it was a freshman. It was Kendall Brown. It was a superstar freshman.
Man, he looked so good.
Who, made a few dunks and built the momentum and kind of took the wind out of the Ducks' sails, and that's what happened. And I'm telling you, if you can keep it at 6 with Baylor, you're fine. But once you get it to 8, again, that's plus 5 possessions. I just don't know at any point during a game where Baylor's going to they're going to be minus 5 and letting you go on a 10-0 run. They're not going to let you go on a 10-0 run. They might let you go on a 6-0 run. You see it all the time, but a 10-0 run in the second half just doesn't happen that much. Now, it's probably going to happen eventually. They're going to play some really good teams. And, I'm very much looking forward to February. They play Kansas twice. That Kansas team, their transfers are really starting to, kind of come together. And I think, I know some Baylor fans may lash out at me at this, but I think Ochai Agbaji is the best player in the Big 12 this year. He's taken that kind of jump that he's done the Davion Mitchell jump where whatever he did in the offseason has worked really, really well. And the deficiencies in his game are now strengths. And he's going to be a tough guy down the stretch for anybody who's playing, whether it's Baylor, Iowa State, Texas, whoever plays him in the NCAA tournament, because Agbaji is he's impressed me the most of almost anybody in the country I've watched this year.
All right. North Carolina State's men's basketball team put on 1-year probation. Former head coach Mark Gottfried gets a 1-year show cause order. This was for a former assistant coach helping facilitate money from Adidas to a prospect's family. This was Dennis Smith, the former Maverick player, who, of course, was very explosive. It is the first decision as a result of the independent accountability resolution process instead of going straight with the NCAA. Now, think about this. Dennis Smith was paid this coach was accused of helping facilitate a $40,000 payment from T.J. Gosnola, an Adidas consultant, to the Smith family.
Should have gone and played O-line at Texas. We got an extra $10K.
Yeah, but I'm going to go even deeper than that. And, yeah, you're right. Rob Douster made this point. He's a part of the field of 68. We'll get Rob on throughout the year for men's basketball. So let me get this straight. North Carolina State avoided a postseason ban after an assistant coach paid $46,761 to Dennis Smith to commit. But Oklahoma State was given a postseason ban for an assistant coach paying a player $300 to influence his decision on financial advisors. Now, Oklahoma State did have Lamont Evans, who accepted bribes from a man and stole $2.35 million in his client's money. And some of the players invested in him, and they lost money with that. Both of them are cheating. But North Carolina State gets a 1-year ban. Godfrey gets a show cause, and Oklahoma State is out of the postseason and cannot make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, nobody's ever going to be able to successfully explain why the NCAA sees some things the way that they do comparatively. And part of the thing is, I think, and this is kind of good and kind of bad, is that they look at each case as its own thing. And because they look at it as its own thing, then the punishments never seem to overlap.
But there's this one guy responded to him. It's from Joe Missile. Context: Oklahoma State went with the NCAA process. NC State went with the IARP.
Yeah, and that's what people are going to do now. And plus, it's probably going to change again once the new constitution for the NCAA is written. It'll be done. I mean, it'll be a new way to do it that way. And so the NCAA can continue to go on and not make sense. And then here's the other thing is paying a kid $40,000, like Craig said. You can go to Texas and play O-line and make $10,000 more, but paying a kid whatever, as long as you channel it through the right way in paperwork, is legal now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if SMU had gotten off of the death penalty if the rules had been, well, just file the paperwork the right way? Just make sure you get this thing notarized by someone, and this is not through this, and then it's going to be fine. I mean, that's what the NCAA has done. They've taken everything that they cannot enforce and they can't figure out how to stop, and they've just said, all right, well, here. Just do whatever you want. Just make sure that, you fill out this form in triplicate and submit it by a deadline.
There will be somebody, though, that will get hammered for the NIL being done incorrectly as a inducement.
Well, and they probably should.
And all of them are inducements, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all, yeah. I don't know how an NIL, like what Quinn Ewers signed is an inducement. No matter where he's going, like we're going to, and I don't know what's going to stop the shoe companies right then for pushing people their certain way.
Rattler was already on campus. Those who were already on campus is what I thought would be the NIL. And, of course, it's changed. Hey, listen, it's the Wild West again. We know that. So if you can do it, do it. Do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you fix that because you've changed all the rules and you can't. It's kind of like a substitute teacher going in and like, okay, these are the rules on Monday, and then they're trying to be like relaxed, and then by Wednesday they're trying to say, no, I have new rules in here. Well, you already messed it up. Nobody's going to stop.
You guys can help me with this. S. Michael DeHart, I mentioned SicEm365.com, the premium section. Is it all Baylor information, or do they also cover Big 12 and teams like West Virginia? Michael, no, it's mainly Baylor. There are a lot of threads that are about other teams, but it's a Baylor premium site, yes.
I'm not going to try and pull the wool over people's eyes. If you're not a Baylor fan, I don't know why you'd sign up. I wouldn't sign up for Orange whatever, if I'm not a Texas fan or Sooner or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty much 99.9% Baylor. There's random discussion that delves off into other teams, but if you want to go there and post something about A&M, probably not going to get received very well. So yeah, it's mostly, if not all, a Baylor website. But for those who are Baylor fans and are interested, I just actually tweeted out the promo code and link. So if you want a late Christmas gift, this only lasts for another 4 or 5 days. It ends after Christmas, but if you want to become a premium member or gift somebody a premium membership who's a Baylor fan, only $35 for the entire year. I can promise you'll get that much. You get your money's worth in the first couple months of the year easily with just signing day and basketball and all of that. So $35 for a year, that's a hell of a deal for a lot of information and a lot of discussion. So you can hit me up on Twitter and find that tweet that I just sent out and click on that link and use that promo code that I also included. And that'll get you signed up for just $35 for an entire year. That's a great deal.
I will also retweet it, so it'll be on my feed as well. When we come back, Paul Catalina's top 5 at 5:55, but a slightly early Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Let's say you have something that you feel like you pulled or a muscle that might be worse than that, and that's not fun to deal with as a pulled muscle, but torn. A ligament, a muscle, something that hurts so much and you can't function. You can't sleep. You can't even think about work. You can't bear it. You're struggling to walk. And let's say your doctor says, we need to get an MRI. And then you need to say, okay, I need you to set one up at Ideal MRI. In Central Texas, in the Central Texas marketplace, IdealMRI.com has been treating and getting MRIs for those who are in pain for a while. And they also save you hundreds and possibly thousands of dollars. Ideal MRI is $497 or less every single time. It's not, hey, the first time it's $497, then it's like $1,900. $497 or less every single time. And an average MRI can get to be around $1,100 to $1,200 average. So you can imagine there are some even higher. Ideal MRI, ask your doctor about them. They'll find what you need of what hurts. And they have the state-of-the-art technology, the MRI machine. I have been in it a handful of times, and the techs and specialists are amazing. You don't have a long waiting list. You don't have a long line when you get there. It's IdealMRI.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
The year is wrapping up, sports bettors, but BetUS still has your NBA, NHL, college football bowls, UFC, PGA, and of course NFL betting lines up for their 27th year. Live betting on all of it. Log in to BetUS.com today. Use our promo codes SICK'em125 for 125% bonus on cash, or SICK'em200 if you use crypto. So use the 3-decade leader, BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'em125 and SICK'em200.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Payments for qualified buyers at 2.9% with $5,000 down, cash or trade. TTNL Extra. See deal for details.
Get the quality pre-owned car you need now at a price you can afford at Richard Car. Find great deals like a 7-passenger 2016 GMC Acadia for $225 a month, a 2019 Ford F-150 for $438 a month. Plus, get top dollar for your trade now. Richard Car. Pre-owned vehicles go through a 172-point inspection, and our aggressive lenders say yes when others say no. Find your next car or truck at Richard Car today.
At Richard Car, we give you more.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
I veered off the college football path on Friday. I'm not going to do it again. The top 5. What's the lowest watched one ever?
Hey, have you you both been to see Spider-Man or whatever that movie is?
I've seen it. I don't think anybody else has. Yes.
Craig, have you seen it yet?
No.
Are you going to go see it?
At some point, yeah, I will. I'm not Mr. Rush out to see the movie as soon as this new guy Paul is and Deontay is, and I know a few other people that are like that, but I am not like that.
Yeah. Deontay and I were on a podcast together last night. He nerded out about it way more than I did, which make me feel good. At least I wasn't. And then the other guys on the podcast, I was 5th out of 5, but it was a very good movie, so you should go see it, and I won't spoil anything for it. But top 5 transfer pickups so far. In the portal, I did, top 5 potential transfers. Now we've got some guys picking some spots. Number 5. UCLA picked up Dylan Gabriel. This is huge for them. This is a guy who, before he broke his collarbone, was one of the most exciting quarterbacks in the country. Chip Kelly's going to love him in that offense. It's the best quarterback he's had at UCLA since he's been there. And there was some buzz about Chip Kelly going back to Oregon. That was never really on the table. UCLA was 8-4. That's a big jump. I'm not sure if Chip Kelly can recapture the magic he had at Oregon, but if he's going to, then getting a guy like Dylan Gabriel can certainly help.
Yeah, he's been hurt for a while now. Obviously got hurt back in, September, right at the start of the season. So, he should be primed and ready to go when the time comes. But as you said, a dynamic player, very good. And, UCF certainly missed him. So he'll be a great gain for UCLA, no doubt about it. And, I can totally understand, even though Chip Kelly's magic has kind of worn off a little bit. I mean, it's still Chip Kelly, and I can see the appeal there. So, that's a good pickup for them.
Yeah, number 4, Texas with Quinn Ewers. I went back and forth on this one, and I'll say this. I don't know how good Quinn Ewers is going to be. But I do know this, for Texas and for Steve Sarkisian. It was very clear that he felt about his quarterbacks from the spring on. And this is a guy that he, as a coach, is excited about. He went out and got him. He had control over this one. And as where the other guys were there when he got there, and at least one of them will be gone, if not both, by the time spring football rolls around, because Casey Thompson's in the portal. This, to me, is big for Texas in that they have quarterbacks on campus that the head coach and the offensive coordinator are excited about themselves, because you could tell all season long that they just, didn't feel like the quarterback position was something that they were going to be able to grow with those two guys.
You mean them or the fans?
Well, I think it was a collective. Yeah.
Well, the handling of it all was bizarre.
Yeah.
It was I don't know. That all felt very out of whack and not aligned very well at all. It's just kind of weird how he just didn't go all in with Casey Thompson. And I don't know. I just found it all very strange. So now they don't have to deal with that. You can make an argument, depending on who these next 3 are, that this might be number 1 when all is said and done in terms of impact. That's certainly what Texas fans are banking on, and that's what Steve Sarkisian's banking on. I know one thing. The amount of hype this kid's going to have before he even plays a freaking down in Austin is going to be – he's going to have to win a national title to even come close to right now, he'd have to win a national title to come anywhere close to the amount that's been talked about him. And nothing less, or anything less would have to be like back-to-back Big 12 championships to say that he lived up to all of the hype of Quinn Ewers. So we'll see. I hear everything that's so great about him, and I certainly can't disagree, because I don't know. I know that he's supposed to be very, very good. What I saw of him when he was at Southlake, he was very, very good. We will see, but that could end up being number 1 when all is said and done.
Now they've had a few, but Garrett Gilbert was at a level that I would have wanted him, and it just never worked out, unfortunately. He had a year to soak under Colt McCoy, then the Alabama bowl game and all that, but man, he was supposed to be a continuation of what they had with Colt McCoy.
He single-handedly wrecked their entire Mac Brown's tenure because he didn't pan out. Mac Brown just said, whatever, on quarterback recruiting, we got Garrett Gilbert, and then Garrett Gilbert didn't work out, and they were totally screwed. And that's when everything started with the recruit. That's when you really started to get that fever of he recruited RG3 as a DB, and he recruited Manziel as a DB, and all that stuff. That's when everything started going haywire with their quarterback.
You said he single-handedly. You mean recruiting him and him committing to Texas single? Because I don't think Garrett Gilbert did it on purpose.
No, well, that's that's what I mean, is that him being recruited and signing with Texas like single-handedly derailed their quarterback recruiting. I mean, it did. If you look back on it, they haven't been the same since then.
Well, and if you look at, I think Garrett Gilbert has been a cautionary tale for everybody, because if Mac Brown's going to, throttle down on quarterback recruiting because he feels so good about a guy and then you get burnt, then everybody else in the country is going to go, you know what? And that's what most teams try to do. You recruit a quarterback every year.
No,
with the transfer portal, you have to now, and whatever comes out in the wash comes out in the wash. You hope the ones you hit on, but
fill the depth chart, fill that quarterback room.
And by no means do I think that Quinn Ewers is Garrett Gilbert. I'll give Garrett Gilbert credit though. He went and he did well at SMU ultimately, and he's been in the NFL for like years now. So I mean, off and on, but still, he's lived a pro life, and he's hung around the NFL for a guy who obviously had. A disappointing run at Texas. Now, I don't think Quinn Ewers is Garrett Gilbert by any means. I think it would take a lot for that to happen. But I can't help but think, like, when I hear all this hype, the greatest I've ever seen, the best arm I've ever, the best. I can't help but think of, like, this kid's got to have something that he's not getting. Like, I mean, it's been, like, perfect based on what we've heard. So, yeah, I'm ready to see it now.
Yeah. Nobody hypes and sometimes overhypes the way Texas does, and it's because they have a machine.
Now imagine what it's going to be like by the time the season rolls around. Yeah. Like the hype is going to be insane.
Once they've seen him play in a spring game, jeez. Moses smelled the roses. It's over. Yeah. Number 3, Florida State picked up, this was just yesterday or today, Micah Pittman, wide receiver from Oregon. This is a guy who had a down year this year, admittedly, but that Oregon offense was kind of wonky. And the reason I put this on here is there's a bunch of guys like this where you have a need, a guy, like when you go get a transfer, you want to go get a guy who can start right away. Micah Pittman's going to start day one for Florida State. That's how you do it. I'm not trying to pump up my own guys here, but it's just an example of you need a guy who can start day one. He can start day one at a team that's trying to get back to just respectability before national relevance. They went out and filled a need.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah. He's good. He was better when Justin Herbert was there, but so was everybody.
All right, well, so was everybody. Okay.
But yeah, he's got a couple years left and should fill a need. But he was a good wide receiver.
You know what I think is great is how people now spell first names. Like Jonathan could be spelled now 437 different ways. That's gotten to that point.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Number 2.
By the way, I got to say this: lose is not spelled with 2 O's. I don't know why this is such a thing on social media, but when you win or you lose is not spelled with 2 O's. That is loose like your shoelaces are loose. Your tie is loose. That's 2 O's. Lose, as in lose a game, is 1 O. If I see that on Twitter again, I'm going to lose my mind.
I've seen looser. Like, this guy is looser.
What a looser.
What a looser.
How are you going to call somebody calling somebody else a looser?
Just because people type faster than they're thinking. Yeah,
no. There are way too many people that think you spell lose with 2 O's.
I'm going to start spelling win with 3 N's then.
Yeah.
Just because I can.
With a Y.
Yeah.
Like 1 O for lose.
Okay. Yeah. Number 2, South Carolina, Spencer Rattler and Austin Stogner, package deal. I like this one for Shane Beamer. I talked about it before, but I think getting this package deal is such a huge deal for them. These are 2 guys who can maybe help Shane Beamer further install his culture. I think maybe Austin Stogner more than Spencer Rattler, but Spencer Rattler, to his credit, as much of a diva as he seems to be, if you watched him on the reality show or whatever, he could have jumped out of Oklahoma and into the transfer portal when he got benched. He didn't do that. And so, to his credit, he stayed in and he stayed in the fire. And I think that is admirable. He's going to have some growing up to do, but the talent is there and everybody knows it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really talented guy, like you said. I don't know just how tough he is. I kind of question that sometimes, but he can go off and he's got a nice landing spot there. We'll get to go up against SEC teams on a weekly basis. So, as far as his NFL prospects go, what we don't know right now, we'll certainly know by the end of next year. I think it's, a big deal that Stogner's coming with him. That's a nice safety blanket to have, and plus Stogner's just a really good dynamic player. So, that was a really nice combo deal, and those Beamer OU ties are certainly coming in handy. But you talk about guys that are going to have a big target on their back and all that. That's going to be Spencer Rattler next year.
Yeah, just like it was this year.
Yeah, and number 1, Alabama gets the best transfer every year anyway, so why shouldn't they get it this year? Eli Ricks, quarterback from LSU, was a 5-star recruit, played 1 year. His guy that he went to go play for left, so did he, and he went to go play for Nick Saban. They got Henry Cho this year from Tennessee. They went to LSU, their chief rival outside of Auburn, in the SEC West, and plucked their best recruit from a year before.
Yeah, it's a really good pickup for Bama because they needed him. They needed that little extra amount of talent to really put them over the top. But no, I mean that's a tremendous pickup, and I just find it weird when guys stay in the same area and stay in the same division like they are in this case, or like Eli Ricks is in this case. I just find that so odd. But it is what it is in college football now. So, yeah, a tremendous pickup for Alabama. They just are number one in everything.
And Nebraska just sits there on their ass, getting nobody.
Well,
so far, but there's lots of people.
Well, somebody asked about it in the chat room. I wasn't going to bring it up. And J.G. Neolardo, Gilbert had PTSD, baptism by fire at Texas. I thought played as well as he could in the Alabama National Championship game. And then, of course, didn't work out.
I do think that kind of like set him off on the wrong trajectory, though, and it was a baptism by fire. It's like, hey, just come into the national championship game against Alabama and win it. Even, granted, that wasn't the same Alabama we talk about nowadays. That was the start of the Alabama that we talk about nowadays. But, yeah, that's always going to be one of those what-ifs for Texas fans, is if, what if McCoy doesn't get hurt, or is it McCoy, right? Yeah, McCoy doesn't get hurt. And Garrett Gilbert doesn't have to come in, but we'll never know. Garrett Gilbert's done nice for himself, though. I will say that he's done nice for himself.
NFL note: Chris Godwin out for the year, torn ACL. Tampa Bay got hammered last night. Evans was hurt. Fournette was hurt. Tonight there's a game going on, 10-0 right now. Raiders lead that game against the Browns.
The Browns are playing like their 15th string quarterback at this point. You didn't mention Adrian Martinez going to Kansas State. That was official over the weekend.
I thought we did Friday.
Did we mention that Friday?
We mentioned it Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was official by then. But
and good for him, and that was something you nailed. That's why, we did bring it up Friday at the very near the end of the show. For Paul Catalina, for Craig Smoak, Armstrong Sims flying solo. Thank you, Armstrong, for all of that, and thank you for watching and listening. Our great sponsors.
Also, Hayden Bumpus doing YouTube stuff remote.
Hayden Bumpus doing YouTube stuff remote, and also whatever my alternate Twitter account is as well. I'm David Smoak. Thank you very much. Back again tomorrow at 3, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.